2021 is set to be a historic season in GNCC. Ben Kelly, coming off a huge win in the sands of Florida. It's now the time for Ben Kelly to rise from the shadows of Caleb Russell and be the man to take the national championship. Can Stu Baylor return to his winning ways that we saw at the end of 2020? All that and more starts now. GNCC on Racer TV.
Are you ready to go? GNCC Racing! Hello again and welcome to America's Premier Off-Road Racing Championship, the 2021 GNCC Series presented by Specialized E-Turbo Bikes and AMA National Championship. I'm Rodney Thompson along with Mikey Waynes as we come to you today from beautiful Washington, Georgia at Aonia Motocross Park, the Georgia Motorsports Flex, if you will, for this third round of the GNCCs. This is the General GNCC and one that certainly has been an iconic battle for many, many years. When we come here, it always seems to kind of set the stage for what a lot of the season is going to be like because, you know, you've got those first couple of rounds, you go to Florida, and then 7 days later, here we are back to racing again, back-to-back GNCC weekends. And when you come from the terrain of Florida, oftentimes guys come with chewed up hands, they're sore, the muscles, you know, maybe an injury or just really waxed because they hadn't had enough time to get trained and get their endurance levels up leading into the new season.
You hear the pro riders on down to the amateur, to the youth ranks, they say, when we get to Georgia, that's the time to shine. Now we're going to figure out, we're going to separate the men from the boys, we're going to separate the women from the girls. So looking forward to seeing what today's race has in store for us. Ben Kelly coming off his first win of the season, carrying some momentum. Grant Baylor still carrying that points lead, though, heading into round 3.
It was kind of questionable there in the beginning, you know, as it always is on those first couple of laps. Everything's kind of crazy, and Ben was a little far back, but, man, he just got rolling. And once he got rolling, you saw that steam, and he was pushing forward, and that's all there was to it.
He did. Ben Kelly's got obviously some very, very big racing boots to fill in Caleb Russell. And KTM expects, hey, if you're our guy on your bad days, there's still got to be podium days.
Right.
Ben knows that as well as anybody. He backed that up in round 2 with the win, and I look to see him not off the podium very often.
Well, if you have a question about whether or not the pressure will get to the young Ben Kelly, I think the response that we saw in Florida might be a good indication that he rises to the level whenever necessary. So he could be that threat that a lot of folks are expecting him to be. Not only the race fans and, of course, the analysts, but also the riders as well. And talking with Stu Baylor earlier, he said that, you know, he feels that he's one of the biggest threats for the championship outside of Josh Strang because of Josh's consistency, but also the speed and consistency that can couple with Ben Kelly. If he gets on a roll, it's going to be tough for them to beat. As far as that Xc2 Pro Lights class is concerned, wow, Johnny G, after first round, having the struggles that he had there, I think he finished somewhere in the neighborhood of 6th place, if I'm not mistaken. But able to come back and to dominate the way that he did on that gas on last Sunday was amazing. I mean, that's the kind of rider that, you know, we knew that he is, and then the kind of rides that he's capable of putting forth. Now, it says here he's from Boonville, North Carolina. We know he's from up out of New England area. So I hope the race fans up there don't get too upset about that, but we know where he's from, and we know he's one of your New England Rippers up there. Consistency for Craig DeLong also. I think he cracked off a couple second-place finishes, if I'm not mistaken, which keeps him right there in the hunt for that championship and reclaiming that, where he sits 1 point behind Mike Witkowski. Witkowski going 1 and 3 through the first couple of rounds. Witkowski had a good solid day that day, and probably one of the riders that surprised me the most, I'm not going to lie, not necessarily surprised me, but I think I'm excited for the most right now is Liam Draper. This rider coming out of New Zealand, the one thing that he has wanted is success in American racing, and He's seen glimpses of it and a little taste of it here and there. But I think that we're finally starting to see Liam settle in. He's finally adjusting to everything. He spent the entire winter at home. He didn't get here in America. He didn't get to go home for the winter. So with that being said, he's really accustomed and really acquainted with what's going on here in the United States right now. So, this might have been a good winter for him to be able to stay home and things happen for him. Also, you've seen Cody Barnes got the 5th place position in that class, and good to see him. I know he was working hard. He was battling back there in 7th, 6th places and stuff. So the Phoenix Honda rider able to so that was pretty exciting for him. And looks like he's going to have a good solid Xc2 year this year as well. And as far as the Xc3 class, that one's getting exciting too. Jonathan Johnson, back-to-back wins on that one. I had said that I was thinking for some reason that Chase Colville won that first round, but he did put on a good race. I think he had the early lead and things there. But Chase Colville finishing, I believe, 4th place at the last round behind Zach Hayes and Ben Parsons. Parsons really coming to the head of the pack like that. So we've got some names, we got some players in that Xc3. That's what we've been waiting for and banking on. And I think that the premier part of that class is going to only shine brighter and brighter as time wanes on in that class, because it's a great stepping stone for those riders coming up through the ranks. They can do that 125, then get into the 250, Xc2, and then right into the Xc1 class. I think it's a great graduation process for them. Plus, you got to love the two-strokes.
Exactly. Who doesn't love a 125? Yeah. Talking with Zach Hayes, the defending champ in the Xc2, talked to him back in round 1, and he said, man, there's going to be a lot of guys running this Xc3 class this year. And I said, good. Finally. And so far, so good through 2 rounds of racing. Hopefully that continues here at round number 3, and it's only good for off-road racing at GNCC.
Well, weather-wise this weekend, we haven't had rain for 2 weeks here, Mikey Wayne's. Track and course conditions are probably ultimate right now, maybe even on a little bit of the dry side.
Certainly possible. Well, let's take a look at what we can expect out of today's track with the Yamaha track description with Mr. Jared Bolton.
Thanks, guys. Welcome back once again to Georgia. Sun's out. It's a beautiful weekend for racing here at the awesome Aonia Pass Motocross facility. There's a reason we keep coming back here. People really, really love this place. And I know I'm going to go ahead and say it. I've done so good so far this year not saying this, but this place has something for everyone. And I know I said that all last year, but that's really true when you come here to Aonia Pass. There's fast trails, there's tight trails, and there's stuff right there in the middle of it. And, of course, there's motocross track as well. We're actually not running the motocross track this year because, like I said, sun's out. It's really, really dusty. We want to keep it as safe as possible. So we kept the guys off the motocross track, keep that dust down. Yeah, we've got a water truck. Yeah, we can water it. But the dangerous thing is when you start watering in the middle of the race, man, you come around one lap and it's all dry and hard packed. Now all of a sudden, that hard pack turned into slick. We don't want to do that to those guys. So we cut out the motocross track this year, but we made up for it. There's great woods. There's some awesome sections of, believe it or not, there's new trail mixed in with some of the really, really popular sections that we run here each and every time. Overall, this is a beautiful course. It's going to produce some great racing because, like I said, there's something for everybody out there. Give everybody a little bit of an advantage here at Aonia Pass. Back to you guys.
Thanks a lot, number 1 cowboy, Jared Bolton, has Ryan, Jeff, and, of course, Jared laying out an amazing track here for us once again. We've been coming here for a long, long time, but it gets sweeter each and every year. There's no doubt about it. But we got great racing coming at us just ahead, Mikey Waynes. I myself can't wait to see that green flag fly.
That's right. Rodney's got places to be. We're going to take a quick commercial break, hear from some of our sponsors, and when we come back, Mr. Rodney Tomlin will be down in the starting line with those iconic 10-second calls.
Rocky Mountain ATV MC, retailer, distributor, manufacturer, product developer, parts tester. This is what we do, but who we are is something much simpler. We're riders, like you. 100% employee-owned and operated, a company built by riders, entirely for riders. Rocky Mountain ATV MC. Get ready.
Ride, Tyler Medaglia. And that, ladies and gentlemen, your starting lineup for this, the Specialized General GNCC. And, of course, before we get the race off and rolling, folks, One more and final order of business. It's time to clear the start, so join with me. Judd, remove the meat. Our Monster Energy Activation Transport now leaves the starting line as our riders have been introduced to the masses. Welcoming everyone along the World Wide Web at RacerTV.com as we are looking at a historic weekend here in beautiful Georgia, as we have got ourselves 400 riders and a record-breaking turnout here for the 2021 season at Georgia. And we are glad that you folks have tuned in to be a part of it. Opening ceremonies closing up now as Ricky Towery is in the final and closing moments of getting things ready to go. And as we always say, it's an all systems go before the green flag flies. And right now, all systems are not go. Scoring and timing, EMTs, track crew, track changes. There's a lot to take into consideration as we work toward these starts. So we want to make sure everything is in every place that it needs to be as Ricky Towery awaits the final word himself. And we wait as well as the anticipation builds as to what this race day is going to bring here in Washington, Georgia. Ricky Towery making his way from out around the first turn. Does this mean the start sequence is about to get underway? He looks at his watch. He steps forward and he signals these riders 1 minute before the start to the Specialized General GNCC. Our next call of order will be the blue flag waving, friends, and we all know what that means. That is a dead engine call. It also signals 30 seconds before the start of the race as those hearts begin to pound and Ricky Towery steps back out and gets set to signal these riders yet one more time. This time, the blue wave, and when it does, we call shut them down, shut them down, shut them down. It's time to go GNCC Racing, and as the hush goes across the starting line here this afternoon, we watch what is about to take place, and I ask you, Georgia race fans, are you ready to go GNCC Racing? Okay, let's try that one more time because you know and I know we can do much better. Are you ready to go GNCC Racing? 10 seconds. And row number 1, the Xc2 Pro will be off and rolling at the Specialized General GNCC. Rounding the first turn, the number 3, Jordan Ashburn, will cross the stripe first. It is hot on his heels, the 212 of Ricky Russell and a 114 of Josh Strang. As we turn our attention down the row number 2, the Xc2 Pro, the Xc2 250 Pro rider Lafferty, Benjamin Manelko, also Cody Barnes, Thorne Devlin, Lyndon Snodgrass, Liam Draper, Mike Witkowski, Brendan Poling, Jesse Ainsley, Craig DeLong. 10 seconds. Evan Smith, Sebastian Hearn, Vincent Smith, Michael McLean, Roy Barbosa, Joseph Ferraro, Hunter Newworth, Christopher Vendetti, and Jonathan Gerard, Johnny G on the two-wheel side of things. It's a 9-4 Wando grabbing the early lead. Chris Venditti from Fort Mill, South Carolina on the Boyson Smitty's FXR back ride as we go to the FMF Xc2 125 Pro-Am. Zach Hayes, Mike DeLosa, Russell Bobbitt, Jeremy Lallemand, Ben Parsons, Chase Colville, Noah Clark, Michael Pillar, Eli Childers, Max Fernandez. 10 seconds. Jason Lipscomb, Jake Froman, Dustin Simpson, Trevor Barrett, and Jonathan Johnson. .318, Chase Colville getting off to another great start this week. And looks like he's going to pull the whole shot. That 32 machine right behind him, though. Didn't get the actual racing number, but Chase Colville got his work cut out for him as we go to the 258 class. Coming up next, riders like JoJo Cunningham, Dakota DeVore, Braden Nolette, Jonathan McDougall, Neil Inman, Zachary Davidson, Joshua Lee. 10 seconds. Jeremy Wallstrom, Bubs Tasha, Benjamin Wright, Bolton Biroff, Alex Luger, Tommy Fortune, Tanner Collins, Joshua Chack, Logan Kittock, Cole Whitmer, Dalton Seals, Nicholas Cordana, Dominic Morris, also Norman Connors, Matthew Corners, Hunter Reimer, Tristan Landa, Trevor Mailer, John Getty, and Kyle Dutton. 199, Zach Davidson out of Iron Station, North Carolina. Husqvarna USA, Dunlop Fly, and Chad Davis Racing backs right will get credit for the early lead in that one as we go to the Open A bike. Nathan Rector, Chase Hayes, Will Seidenpiper, Dylan Della Cruz, Evan Earl, Tyler Braniff, Ezra Prime, Zachary Nash, Tyler Sariano. Austin Tanner Whipple, Jake Green, Brian Dussault, Johnny Babbitts, Matthew McDonald, Kenton Coleman, Greg Kirby, Troy Vanscourt, Colby Davis, Dylan Carano, Marshall Fox, Sebastian Perez, and Trenton Boffman. The 029 Chase Hayes from Sumter, South Carolina, on a Browns RV Carolina KTM HBD Moto Graphics machine. Browns RV Superstore. 158 class. Come on. Next to Little Russ, Joe McKee, Alex Metz, Cole Thorne. Lucas Palladabinito, Austin McCoy, Sean Myers, Hunter Smith, Dawson Dobson, Ryan Piper, Gunnar Williams, Ethan Cox, Maverick Thankston, Blake Kohler, James Skinner, Nathan Delaney, and Blake Yaras. 213, Toby Cleveland from Erin, New York on the Fly Racing, John's Equipment Rental, West Family Racing backs ride. We'll cross the stripe first as we get to the four-stroke A lights. Tyler Palmer, Cooper Jones, Cody Meeks, Trevor Getz, Ian Palmer, Travis Raynaud, Sam Hall, also Alexander Patterson, Matthew Davis. 10 seconds. Philip Dagnanese, Russell Smith, Bradley Bykowski, Mitchell Owensby, Gary Emmon, Huck Jenkins, Hunter Barron, Lucas Holt, Blake Plowman, Trent Gaither, Lance Moschino, Caleb Baltimore, Trump Devin Shirk, also Nathan David, Zachary Johnston, Samuel Hinkie, Joshua Guffey, Jason Key, Cope Becker, and the 54 Cooper Jones out of Lawton, PA, Ampro Yamaha Factory Connection FMF, grabbing the early lead. Also TJ Fine, Nick DiBartello, Dylan Hicks, and Justin Murphy out there in this one. McGee Gomez, also Joshua Wyatt, Andrew Smith, Lorenzo Sanchez, Alan Peters, Chris Dufresne, Graham Mattis, Joshua Brown, James Fawcett, Robert Johnson, Jesse Cameron Schmale, Sean Royal, R.J. Levacy, Morgan Green, Callum Goodman, Scott Cunningham, Fabian Barada, and your leader, I believe it says 570, Tyler Trammell from Dahlonega, Georgia. Also Josh Knack, Jimmy Pruder, Fabian Barada, Ryan Overton, Glenn Curry, Andrew France, and Matthew White in that one. That B30 plus class with Adam Odell, Cody Hosta, Larry Hopper, Ernest Martin, Daniel Parler. 10 seconds. Gene Costa Curta, Matt Miller, Michael Cheney, Andrew Lowell, Daniel Smith, Nathan Dickey, Mike Funk, David Smith, Michael Rainwater, Philip Phillips, Nick Resch, Dylan Barnhouse, Sasha Durchik, CJ Seitinger, Thor Church, Jesse Fulmer, Robert DeBella, Drew Groin, Tyler Click, 576, Davison Goulart out of Powder Spring, Georgia, going to grab the early lead in that one as we go to the senior B40 plus class. Coming up next, Charles Becker, Raphael Rock, Brent Maynard, Adam Nastic. 10 seconds. Felipe Branger, Rodney Johnson, William Hollenbeck, Kenny Webb, Tim Michael, Dave Youglas, also Ray Hench and Scott Dowland. The 480 William Hollenbeck from Kennerdell, Pennsylvania, going to grab the early lead on that one. So we get to the 150B class. Ryan Deal, Hayden Serena, Luke Wilson, Peyton Gwynn, Matthew Hollenbeck, Nicholas Pacaraz, Chandler Goldsboro. 10 seconds. Nick Barrier, Blaine Barrier, Conley McIlvain, Aiden Myers, Carter Winland, Jay Pittard, Brandon Farmer, Bailey Flynn, Carson Baggett, Caden Childers, Owen Flitter, Aaron Hassan, David Honowski, and 327, Matthew Hollenbeck from Kennerdell, Pennsylvania, Point View Cycle KTM TF Racing suspension back right. Grabbing the early lead, 250B, Ethan Dingle, Jonathan McGee, Russell Allen, Joachim Borongo, Rodrigo Correa, Adam Moffitt, also Rick Matsko. 10 seconds. Colton Shields, Timmy McIntyre, Chandler Taylor, Nick Graff, Landon Beatty, and Mark Sardon, Austin Walls, Tyler Martin, Sean Sumney, Austin Metz, Wyatt Keisler, Liam Galbraith, Chase Starkey, Garrett Duffy, Joshua Gannon, Russ Anderson, Peyton McVeigh, Ty Hughes, Lane Whitmer, Cameron Madison, Samuel Goins, Andrew Pate, and Andrew Inman. 614, I believe, of Cameron Madison from Wright City, Missouri. Open B class. Dylan Fleming, Miles Gafkin, Warren Friend, Devin Bobkin, Jose Rodriguez, Grant McCoy, John Hawkins, Logan Coffey. 10 seconds. Cutter Holloway, Garrett George, Dylan Douglas, Justin Hibbs, Michael Scott, Matthew Harris, Jeffrey Russell, Spencer Payrow, Zachary Dennis, Jim Winterbottom, Josh Bowling, Brady Mills, Chase Hall, Craig Oberholzer, Cody Slagle, Zachary Sanders, Jesse Carson, Austin Brunny, Cody DeLuce, Matthew Ivory, Jacob Maynard, Ryan Tucker, Michael Horwath, Burke Masiglia, and Trevor Miller. 820, Burke Masiglia out of Sparks, Glencoe, Maryland. Out of Coppersmith, Access Capital Mortgage, Marsiglia Realty back right. I believe you're going to get your early lead in that one. And to the four-stroke B lights in 10 seconds. Anthony Blackburn, Hayden Schultz, Trevor Golden, Colby Dunham, Austin Hovetter, Garrett Mundy, Ty Ely, Roy Culbertson, Tanner Kerpman, Levi Ward, Levi Self, Max Grant, Levi Elliott, Leroy Petrie, Clayton Robbins, Rayleigh Master, Forrest Busby, Brock Belso, Thomas Allen, Xander Garoni, Landon Harvey, Brian Burgess, Austin Stentel, Nicholas Hezebin Thompson, also Thomas McDaniel, Caden Simpson, Justin Griffith, and wow. Can't quite catch the number on the early leaders there. A heck of a battle going out of that final turn for that four-stroke B lights class, though. My friends, that sets the stage. 400 riders strong, traversing the trails here in Georgia. How's this one going to pan out? Will we have a new points leader at the end of the day? Will we get a fresh new winner? Who knows? The only way to find out. Stick around. GNCC Live continues after this.
I'm Jordan Ashburn, and you're watching GNCC Live at RacerTV.com.
Rocky Mountain ATV MC, retailer, distributor, manufacturer, product developer, parts tester. This is what we do, but who we are is something much simpler. We're riders, like you. 100% employee owned and operated, a company built by riders, entirely for riders. Rocky Mountain ATV MC, Get ready.
Born of family values and a homegrown work ethic, Chematic Gaskets seals your machine so you can focus on the finish line. Chematic Gaskets are the competitive standard for racers who demand the very best. Chematic Gaskets are constructed from superior materials designed to perform in the most demanding environment. Whether it's championships on the line or a day in the dirt with friends, professionals and enthusiasts depend on Chematic. Chematic Gaskets, sealing championships since 1989.
AMSOIL runs on freedom and has since 1972. We changed the industry by formulating the first API-qualified 100% synthetic motor oil. The rest of the market has been trying to follow our lead ever since. But a head start is a head start. We punish our products firsthand in our world-class laboratories and beyond. Because some things can't be learned from a test tube. Run with us.
Last season was my best season ever by far. I won a lot of races. I won a championship, and it was also my first year using ARMA. And one of the things I noticed was just my ability to string good days together. You know, like especially in the summertime in Florida where you're riding every day and the heat index is 108 degrees and you're doing 230s and going to the gym and bicycle and all that stuff. I think in the past I've been super inconsistent day to day. Yeah, I may have a good race here or a good day during the week there, but overall I think where I improved the most was my consistency in my recovery.
Even when you're the best, you never stop striving to be better. The all-new from the ground-up 2019 Yamaha Yz250f is available at LoJack Cycle Sales, alongside the all-new Yz250f and Yz250f, and refined Yz250f. So stop by LoJack Cycle Sales today in Torrento, Pennsylvania, and visit our online inventory at www.lojacks.com. Yamaha YZs. It's why we ride.
Hi, my name is Andrea Lee, the Director of On Track School. How would you like to go to a school where we take into consideration how students learn best? Well, we do that because we find if we can build a curriculum around the things you are interested in, you're going to do a better job. The mission at On Track School is that educational success is possible while chasing your dreams. Not only will our staff help students to achieve success, they will cheer you on to the finish line. We encourage you to check out On Track School at ontrackschool.com, where we can help you chase your dreams and still get a quality education.
We are American Motorcyclists. We are members of the American Motorcyclist Association. Racers, fans, and crew. We come together for this sport we love, to race together, to grow together. We start young and not so young. We race motorcycles and ATVs. We become friends. We become family. We compete for weekend bragging rights and national championships. We make memories on the toughest off-road courses in the country and on the best motocross tracks in the world. Some of us aspire to the speed and poise of road racing or the fierce competitiveness of American flat track. And we honor our greatest champions in the AMA Motorcycle Hall of Fame. Through it all, we cheer. We win and we lose. We are racing. We are the AMA. Race with us. Be part of the greatest sport in the world. Be an American motorcyclist. Join us today at www.amajoin.com/join-now.
Monster Energy AMA Supercross in FIM World Championship.
22 riders in the starting gate believe I will be champion.
Be there to see who wins the round at Atlanta Motor Speedway April 10th, 13th, and 17th. Visit supercrosslive.com to get your tickets today.
The Yamaha Gncc University returns, calling all ATV and motorcycle off-road racers. Are you looking to hone your riding and racing skills? Want to learn hands-on with the best of the best past and current Gncc racers and champions? Then sign up for the 2021 Yamaha Gncc University, returning to Snowshoe Mountain Resort June 23rd through the 25th. We're bringing together Yamaha's ATV and motorcycle racing elite to instruct in-depth courses and fundamentals of racing and riding. During the Yamaha Gncc University, students will participate in lectures about sportsmanship, training, proper nutrition, and mental preparation, along with hands-on skills and drills designed to improve your riding and confidence in a variety of terrain and situations. Reservations are on a first-come, first-served basis, with limited openings evenly split between the disciplines. For more details and to register, contact Snowshoe Mountain Resort at 877-441-4386.
And a good afternoon, everybody out there in the world of Racer TV. I'm Mikey Waynes. You've already heard from my colleague, Mr. Rodney Tomlin, and Johnny Gallagher will be joining us in the booth here shortly. Ryan Amancio with us as well. This is round number 3, Specialized General GNCC. And look at that landscape. How about it? Yamaha live drone footage right there, courtesy of Yamaha Racing. Getting a look, we had some good drone footage yesterday for the ATV race. Pretty well able to stay with our leaders throughout the duration of the race. And this one setting up to be a good one. We're going to take a look at these whole shot replays with the Xc2 Specialized Rapid Replay to get us going. Boy, how about the start for these guys? Jockeying for position, a man who needs to get out front early. He's done well so far. Consistency this season has paid off for him. Jordan Ashburn getting out front in this one. And how about it for Ricky Russell up there in the number 2 spot, followed by Josh Strang in 3rd. And off they go. We know that changed up a little bit as they came through with the completed short lap number 1. If you're looking at home and you're like, they've already checked in for a lap, obviously that's abbreviated, going to be a much longer course than what those first lap times are telling you. Take a look now at the Xc2 Replay. Mr. Ricky Towery getting the waving of the green flag here. I see you on there, DJ Judd. Got the meat out there. Chris Vendetti going up, getting it for the Xc2 class. Just edging him out there. So great start for Vendetti. See if he can maybe put himself up on the podium today. Certainly a great start for him. Xc2 class been an exciting one to watch. Johnny Gerard coming off that big win. Of course, Mike Wachowski and the defending champ Craig DeLong going to battle out here today. And of course, the FMF Xc3. Love to hear him sing out there. There's nothing in the world quite like those 125s. Ricky Tower getting them going. And look at the numbers we've got in the Xc3 this year. If you've watched the last few years, not seen those kind of numbers, but it's there today. And the man out front, Chase Colville, going up, getting it, snagging the whole shot. We'll see if he can snag the win here. Xc3 class definitely stacked compared to what it has been in the past. Of course, Jonathan Johnson, I believe, taking back-to-back wins, and Zach Hayes had a chance to talk with him a couple rounds back, and he said, man, buckle up, this Xc3 class is going to be wild. But again, I think we're going to take a look. Hopefully we can take a look at, we might have leaders popping out here in a second, but if not, Adam, we might be able to have if we got a couple seconds, we might be able to take a look at our Yamaha Racing track map, give the folks at home an idea of what our riders will face here today. There we go, on cue. Johnny Gallagher joins us in the booth. Johnny, I'll let you talk a little bit more about you rode this yesterday. You know how brutal and tough this thing was.
Yeah, I got to tell you, Monkey, you know, this Specialized General track here in Washington, Georgia really shaped up to be a real test of man machine this weekend. A lot of people coming in this weekend, there was a lot of discussions about how dry it may or may not be, and we definitely got some dust out there, but folks, there's some moisture in the woods. And as we can see from our Yamaha Racing track map here, we've got a very winding track that really crisscrosses this facility and uses every available inch of land. And they found the best of the best to, you know, really put the riders to the test. There's a lot of tricky sections out there that are catching riders out. Yesterday, obviously, you know, and here we go. We have our leaders on screen. And, you know, it's going to be a track, I think, where we could potentially see some guys break away. But we're also, I think, if we have battles, we're going to see guys just absolutely, you know, crisscrossing these woods and past each other multiple times. And with shots like this from our Yamaha Racing live drone, you know, we get to see so much of that action, especially this time of year. We've got no foliage on the trees, so it works out really well. But here is your leader, and that is the 514 of Stu Baylor.
Oh, boy.
And a rough season for Stu so far. You know, big expectations coming in after winning so many rounds at the end of last year, but just hasn't panned out for him. Obviously sat out round one after an injury at the first National Enduro. They were concerned about infection. He had an open wound, sat that out, and then had some complications the week leading into Florida. Comes out and still kind of really riding well up there, battling in the top five, battling what he said were bike issues, clutch issues, I believe it was, and ending up 14th overall. So not the day he was looking for. So that was the second place rider of Ricky Russell. There's the third place rider of Jordan Ashburn. This is out. This is actually not mile marker 4. This is much deeper into the track. This is roundabout mile marker 8.5. Right before where it pops out into the fields and comes. The 9 is just up ahead of him, not too far. So this is our Yamaha. I believe they were calling it the Yamaha Forest.
That nails it.
When they were, and there is round 1 winner Grant Baylor on screen there. It looks like just behind him is the 121 of Corey Buttrick on that factory Beta. The heavy hitters up front and duking it out. But yeah, very dynamic track this weekend, and you know, it's playing into kind of is that Trevor Bollinger?
Yep.
Okay, didn't even realize he was back. Just stepped in the booth here. So I was like, man, that looks like Bollinger. Bollinger back in action and on screen, the 514 Ampro Yamaha of Stu Baylor leading the way there at the 9 mile marker. And basically where they're at right now is they're popping out right behind that. What you see to the right there is the start. So that is one actual lap now completed of this course. Although they've already checked into scoring once, they got a couple miles until they check in again. So the 9, so they got about 2.5, 3 miles until they check in again, which would be the completion of lap number 2, the first complete lap.
One of the things about Stu Baylor, Johnny, that I can't help but think is, you know, obviously the huge expectations for him after the way he ended, Craig DeLong on screen right there, but after the way he ended 2020, it was like, okay, he's a favorite. Not saying he's going to run away with it, but he was without a doubt the heavy favorite as far as the world of social media. Comes into it, doesn't race round 1 because nursing that injury, finishes, 14th in round 2. To me, if I'm Stu Baylor, I look at this and I think of guys like Josh Strang, Ben Kelly, Jordan Ashburn. Rarely, at least speaking for Ashburn specifically, is the guy that comes to mind, rarely does he have a DNF. He's so consistent. He's always, we talked about him being the bubble rider. I feel like he's going to be a podium guy this year for sure. But I think if you're Stu Baylor, it's round 3. I didn't race. I've got a 14. I got to come out and I got to make a statement. I need to click off some wins to get back up in this points chase.
Well, and you know, Stu is as hard as he's charging early. We got to remember, Stu was absolutely flying here last year. The one time he did race here because he was not able to make it for the Bulldog, which was Georgia round 2, or actually round 5 of the series
after the pandemic.
3, 4.
I think it was 4.
You're correct. Round 4 of the series after the pandemic. Obviously, that was after the knee injury, after his split with his former employer. You know, a lot of issues preventing him from racing throughout the middle part of the season. But he led this one all the way down to inches to go, and Caleb Russell clipped him for that win. So and the conditions are quite similar today, actually. So you know he's hyped up, and if he could, if it's possible, he would want nothing more than to absolutely run and hide to not only grab the win and 30 points, because as of right now, he is, so with 7 points with that 14th place finish and a round to go in Florida, the points leader, his brother, Grant Baylor, has 48 points, so he's 41 markers behind in the points chase right now, and that is a big gap. But how do you close a gap like that? You win.
You win.
30 points, max score. That means he's going to score at the minimum 5 points more than everyone else out there, and if you can do that a couple times, that's 5 becomes 10, becomes 15, becomes 20, and right back in the thick of things. But to be honest, I personally feel for Stu to get back in this championship, he needs to click off a bunch of wins, and he's going to need some luck to come his way from guys like Grant Baylor, Josh Trent, Ben Kelly, Jordan Ashburn, because Ricky Russell even, those guys are going to be super consistent. So it's, he's going to need a little bit of luck, I think, unless, he just wants to grind it out 5 points at a time all the way for the rest of the season.
We sorted out Iron Man at the end of the year. Talk a little bit, we saw this on the ATV side, that open field
what a cool
section.
shot.
Yeah, it's really good. That I use air quotes. You guys can't see it at home. Open field section. There's not much of that this weekend. It's a lot of tight trail like this, and it definitely, as the race wore on, you got into that second hour for you guys yesterday. Without a doubt, was a factor was lappers.
Yeah.
Walker Fowler and Bryson Neal both got hung up with lap traffic. Do you see that playing out today in these tight sections with the bikes? Obviously, right now, Stu Baylor on another planet, but as the race wears on, we get into that third hour, I got to think things will tighten up a little bit. Will lap traffic play as big a factor as it did yesterday?
It will play a factor. It will not play as big a factor as it did yesterday, in my opinion, purely because of the multiple amounts of lines and options that the bike guys have that the ATV guys do not. We're kind of in a lot of these places, we're kind of stuck into one line, and if there's a lapper in it, it doesn't matter how much faster than them you are, you can't make a pass. There's just physically not enough room. You almost out of the way or give way for you to get by. Where on the bikes, they can kind of wedge 2 bikes in one quad line, and we do know that the entire track is actually at least 1 quad wide, which means it's 2 bikes wide. So there's a little bit more. Oh, look at this. Stu Baylor coming into the pits at the completion of lap number 1. Don't know what's going on here, but that does not look like a regularly scheduled stop. It almost looked like a suspension adjustment, possibly.
Might have been. We'll have the drone on top of it.
Yeah, we'll have to see. And it could have just been a splash and go. Maybe that's part of his pit strategy. But they looked like they were ready for him. Yeah. But it did not look to me to be just a regular fuel stop. I didn't see a fuel can go up or down. But again, that could have been the angle. So, I think lappers, obviously, in GNCC, lap riders and the amateur riders that are out on the course are always a factor. I don't think it's going to play out as heavily as it did yesterday in the ATV race. But I guess ultimately that remains to be seen. The one thing that I can tell you is, you were talking about the kind of not lacking of fields, but less open fields here on this course. That really is, I believe, a byproduct of, as GNCC continues to grow, we need so much room for parking.
Yeah, for sure.
The parking is taking up what used to be open field sections. They're just parked completely full, and they can't even zigzag the track through there. So it's, GNCC has got, at most facilities, a little less of that open field stuff. Sure, they're still twisting through the pits, but it's not just those big open serpentine grass tracks like we became accustomed years ago. There is the 969 of Johnny Girard, followed very closely by, those are 2 of your combatants in that Xc2 Pro Lights title. Mike Wachowski on the 282 Ampro Yamaha, and Johnny Girard on the 969. Coastal Gas, and here we are, Mikey, back to leader, Stu Baylor at 2-mile marker.
I did notice Johnny Girard kind of threw the hand up like, hey, Wachowski's getting water behind me. Where's my water? That's going to be big today. It's the folks at home don't know. It's not. I don't think it's quite as hot as it was yesterday, but it's definitely hot. Going to get a little hotter, and it is. It's dusty, which just makes it miserable. So hydration going to be key. You saw Stu Baylor throughout most of that first lap. Got the hydration pack ready to roll. So Stu Baylor checks in officially. 2 laps completed, 26 minutes, 18 seconds.
That is a fast lap time for this track.
And he took a pit stop.
Yeah.
So, moving.
And he is out, and it looks like Ricky Russell also has checked in.
We'll call it 9, 8.8 seconds behind him.
And here comes our third third-place rider. He's still got that very noticeable bright helmet on for us, helping us out. But he's got some company now. Josh Strang was not in the shot the last time we saw him. Looks like Josh Toth there behind him, and then Ben Kelly, and then Josh Toth, Wayne Michael. So you've got your 3, 4, 5, 6 place riders all in and complete. And actually, it looks like we're not getting a refresh yet, but top 6, or actually 7, have all checked in now. And here is Stu on screen. This is on the back section of what was the ATV Pro Pits. You can see him squaring those lines up, Mikey. You know, this track is getting really rough. You can see actually Ricky Russell there in the background. It looks like he's starting to chip away at that. He did stop for stop in the pits, picked up a little bit of ground there. Trevor Bollinger, welcome back to GNCC Racing.
Heck yeah.
Great to have Trevor back. Sure, not maybe the first lap that he was wanting, but still up there solidly. Once we do get those guys to check in, looks like he may be checking in that 8th place spot. No, a little further back, 11th. 11th place in that XC1, but still out there on the track circulating, and would not be at all shocked to see him move up as he kind of gets back into his groove and gets back in the groove of GNCC Racing.
It's good to have Trevor Bollinger back. I know a lot of folks were wondering. It was kind of, I had heard a rumor, obviously didn't come through, but I had heard that maybe Thad Duvall would be back racing today, and then that kind of got squashed, and then it was kind of revived, but no Thad Duvall today, so maybe if Thad Duvall come, I got to think South Carolina, if he gets the okay. I mean, maybe a little early, but
I don't know.
What do you think?
I don't think so.
No?
I'm a Thad fan. I'd love to see him out there doing battle, but I think with the extent of his injuries and everything that his body's just gone through. Look at that. Ricky Russell seemed like he was just absolutely sending it through there. He's doing everything he can. He does not want to let that 514 AM Pro Yamaha of Stu Baylor get away. He wants to keep him in check, wants to keep him in sight, and as a result, look at this. He's opened a big gap over the 3rd place ride of Jordan Ashburn. Here comes Ashburn. Now it is Ben Kelly who has gotten around Strang. Ben Kelly on the charge. Probably got the pit board from the KTM factory team saying, hey, Stu Baylor and Ricky Russell are going bye-bye, and if you want to go with them, you better pick it up.
You better pick it up. We talked about that a lot last week. Obviously, Ben Kelly was not happy with round 1. The team was not happy with round 1. It was kind of the message was, there's no Caleb Russell here anymore. Yeah. You're our guy. On your bad days, we still need you on the box, essentially. And Ben Kelly responded with a very impressive win last weekend in Florida, and kind of expect to see him be the podium regular and clicking off wins. Got his work cut out for him here early, but boy, he's all over the heels of, I believe, what was Jordan Ashburn.
Yeah, and there is Trevor Bollinger, and yes, he is all over the heels of Jordan Ashburn there, trying to fight his way up into that 3rd place spot. Bollinger, we know, in 11th in that XC1 Pro class. Just ahead of him was, there's your XC2 leader, Johnny Gerard, and XC2, that was the leader, Johnny Gerard, and Mike Witkowski, and they started to pull gap. I believe the 3rd place rider last we saw was it Wick?
Snodgrass.
Snodgrass has gotten around DeLong, so Snodgrass there in the 3rd place spot. Lyndon Snodgrass coming all the way from Australia and coming through the Specialized Turbo section on that number 178 Babbitt's Monster Energy Kawasaki. And that was I believe that was Benjamin Herrera, an XC1 rider. Stu Baylor wheeling through the Monster Mile, spraying some water, cooling the crowd down. It's a hot day here in Georgia, and he is on a mission to try and get away. But Ricky Russell not at all far behind him. As we pan back with the camera here, we are going to get a shot of
Ricky.
He's starting to open it up, and that is Ricky there, but that gap has opened up a little bit.
Yeah, it has. That Monster Energy Monster Mile yesterday we saw for you guys. You guys don't really have many options through there. I mean, it's very technical, tight, and a couple little option lines it looks like right there. But this was a section, at least we saw in the ATVs, that you guys almost pretty much had to go through their single file, and it looks like a little bit of the same here for the bike guys today. Different line choices for Ben Kelly and Jordan Ashburn.
Yeah, and I think we're going to see Ben Kelly really get aggressive and try to get around Jordan Ashburn, because right now those top 2 are getting away, and unless Jordan's going to pick it up and go after him, I think Ben is going to try to do just that. You can see he's running a different line there. He's up, and he's getting really close on Jordan there. But Jordan on the Magna 1 Husky anybody will tell you, Jordan Ashburn, one of the toughest riders to pass. He just kind of has this sense of knowing where you're at, and just runs his lines and doesn't give you an inch, never makes a mistake. He's just really solid. There is Grant Baylor, round 1 winner and points leader. After that, how about that charge back?
That was impressive. That was Hey, I've got the points lead. All right, let me do the math in my head while I'm out here ripping and see where I need to get to keep it. That was an impressive third hour for Grant.
And I feel like Grant, had he not, new leader in Xc2, Mike Wachowski, the 282 Ampro Yamaha's gotten around Johnny Gerard. I mean, they're still right together, but every time we'd seen him up to that point, it was Gerard leading the way, and now it's Wachowski's taken over at the Monster Mile at the 2-mile marker. He's taken over the lead, and we'll see if he tries to put in a sprint and get away. That was kind of Mike's MO early in the season in 2020. He would kind of try to break these guys early and then manage his gap as the race went on. Throughout the season, Johnny Gerard kind of became, I guess you would say, for a while there, the fastest rider. Then he kind of ride away from everybody and then ran into his struggles late in the season. And that man right there with the big number 1 on his Rockstar Energy Racing Husqvarna, Craig DeLong, was just Mr. Consistent, rock solid, clicking off the wins when he needed to, but always on the podium, always up there battling. But Lyndon Snodgrass really coming into his own this season. Was a part of that Monster Energy Babbitt's Kawasaki team last year. We expected big things out of him. He ultimately kind of struggled. I think he had a few injuries. I know he sat out some races, but didn't really come through on kind of the I don't want to say the hype, because it's not hype. He is a world-class rider and definitely capable of what was expected of him, and I think he's kind of doing a really good job this year of filling in exactly where the team thinks he should be, and I'm sure he thinks he should be. There is the 198 of Liam Draper. I'm sure a lot further back than he wants to be.
I was going to bring up, coincidental. Liam Draper, he came off, I think he finished 4th last weekend and took the whole shot. Kind of expected him to be up there battling with the front runners, those big 3, Gerard, Wachowski, and DeLong. Well, big 4, let's call it. Snodgrass is doing work. But right now, Liam Draper sitting back in that, when he checked in number 11 spot, unless he's picked up a couple on screen. But yeah, it's Xc2 is a stat class this year. It's just, there's a lot of big names out there. I think last year it was kind of, well, it was. I mean, the points chase was between those 3 guys, Gerard, Wachowski, and DeLong, until toward the end of the season, Gerard suffered, I believe, the injury right before, the last couple of rounds, and it was kind of a 2-guy race. But kind of expect to see Liam. He's taking the right steps. Look to see him up there battling with Snodgrass and those guys. But
what am I missing there on screen? There was a Phoenix Honda that came by with number 14 on it. I don't even see number 14. It was green plates in the Xc2. Who is number 14 on the Phoenix Honda?
That's a great question.
It wasn't Cody Barnes, because we saw him a little bit earlier. Do we have any other Hondas? The only other Honda we see, Rui Barbosa says he's on a Honda, but I'm
Chile
fairly certain that was not him. But who knows? We'll have to watch that again. It was definitely a rider on a Phoenix Racing Honda, and he had number 14. At least it appeared to be on both his jersey and the bike, and it was green number plates. Just came by. So we got our Xc2 riders on screen, and there is the 300, the Coastal Racing Gas of Ben Kelly, your 2nd place finisher a week ago in Florida, home state Florida boy.
Parsons.
What did I say? Ben Kelly?
Yeah, it's all right.
All right, yeah. Ben Parsons. Sorry, the 2 Bens. I've spent a lot of time with them lately, and I guess I just
both tall dudes.
Yeah. But Ben Kelly is the rider battling for 3rd in that Xc1 class. Ben Parsons trying to get himself up into a top 3 position in that Xc3 class, finishing 2nd just a week ago in Florida. Local Florida boy from Florida, did really well, and I know he was pretty hyped to get on the podium. Looks like we've got some. Oof! That is JoJo Cunningham from that 250A class.
JoJo was, after the short lap, obviously that quick little quarter of a lap in lap 1 was up into the top 20. I don't think he's there now. No, not there now, but
Ryan Amancio pointing out Bubs Tasha is giving JoJo a candle right there. That was that 222 rider on that Husqvarna. So there is JoJo, the 501 on the Kawasaki, and his shadow there is Bubs Tasha. Put in a good ride in Florida. I don't know where he ended up, but
I can't remember where exactly, but I know those 2 guys were definitely top 3 amateurs. In that top 3 amateur, with JoJo taking the top amateur, which he was pretty hungry for after round 1 with the rear tire issues. He was pretty stoked to get that. He said, Mikey, I can't believe I got on Racer TV during the race, and I'm over there, we're pulling the tire off the back end. That's not how I want to be on Racer TV. I said, go get a top am. We'll make up for it.
Well, and we just had him on Racer TV.
There you go. There you go.
All right, so we missed Stu, and this is 2nd place rider, and it is still Ricky Russell on the Coastal Racing Gas. Oh, look at that little dance, but look at this. Not only has Ben Kelly gotten around Jordan Ashburn, but he has already started to reel in the 212 of Ricky Russell, and he is on a mission. There we see Ben Kelly. We see his helmet kind of pop through there, the 530. Yeah, there is Ashburn. There is Strang. there is Toth. Those guys all right together. And it is also Lane Michael there working his way through the Yamaha Forest on that other Ampro Yamaha. His teammate Stu Baylor out front leading the way. And that group right there has now officially broken away from the pack behind them, which is Grant Baylor, Corey Buttrick, and I believe Tyler Medaglia might have still been with that little group there. But I tell you what, guys, Grant Baylor, again, this first, this beginning, here he is on screen. We can't count him out because we know he can do it. But he's given up so much time early in these races. It's just he's got to put in these superhuman charges later in the race. And I empathize with you, buddy. I can't do it at the beginning of the races. So, I don't know. Grant maybe needs to start doing a little jogging before the race to get himself warmed up. And there's Corey Buttrick on the 121 Factory Bader, Tyler Medaglia, and there is Trevor Bollinger. And, folks, I think we're going to have plenty more of this action when we come back here to the Specialized General GNCC on GNCC Live. So stay tuned, get your snacks, get your drinks, but get back here because we got quite a bit more hot and heavy action coming your way.
I'm Stuart Baylor. You're watching GNCC Live on RacerTV.com.
Rocky Mountain ATV MC, retailer, distributor, manufacturer, product developer, parts tester. This is what we do, but who we are is something much simpler. We're riders, like you. 100% employee owned and operated, a company built by riders, entirely for riders. Rocky Mountain ATV MC, get ready.
Born of family values and a homegrown work ethic, Chematic Gaskets seals your machine so you can focus on the finish line. Chematic Gaskets are the competitive standard for racers who demand the very best. Chematic Gaskets are constructed from superior materials designed to perform in the most demanding environment. Whether it's championships on the line or a day in the dirt with friends, professionals and enthusiasts depend on Chematic. Chematic Gaskets, sealing championships since 1989.
First time I rode a bike was when I was about 3.5 years old in my grandparents' front yard. Brand new KTM 50. Well, actually it was handed down from my brother Stuart. But yeah, it's a 1997 model 50, and got on that thing, gave it full throttle, and just did a Superman across the yard and looped it out. Got up and started crying, and said I never wanted to ride a dirt bike again, but you see where this ended up, right?
Yeah, first time I rode a bike I was 5, so I got it for my fifth birthday. It was a little Action 50, and yeah, I don't remember too much about it. I just remember riding the wheels off it. That's all my dad used to say, so yeah, just riding as much as I can.
First time I was ever on a motorcycle, I actually think it was a four-wheeler. Johnny Gallagher to be proud. I think I ran over my leg. I tried to put my leg out, and I think I ran over it. So that's why we don't race quads around here. But motorcycle, I think it was a JR50. I can't remember much more about it.
I got a pretty big wood stove in my garage in South Carolina that I hardly ever use. Yeah.
Probably one of the most useless is a pull-up bar that I never use.
Most useless item in my garage is something my wife bought that doesn't get used.
Probably wouldn't want to try tennis. A lot of running back and forth, yeah.
One sport I would never try is cross-country skiing.
One sport I would never try. Ice skating.
Well, we learned a lot about those boys.
My biggest takeaway was Josh Strink's first experience on a bike. Wasn't a bike, it was four-wheeler.
I mean, that says a lot. That explains why he's always given, no matter what, every time I see him, he's got some kind of a comment about ATVs. So I think that it's, it's just desserts that his kid is just, we've talked about this before.
Oh, yeah.
His son Maverick, infatuated with ATVs. So, I think it's great that Josh's first actual riding experience was on four wheels. Although, ran his leg over. That's probably why he constantly has those chippy little remarks that the Australian does about ATV. But no, great guy. Always good fun ribbing with Josh. And, a couple things that kind of grabbed me there was I would actually thought Ben Kelly being from, New England states up there in the Northeast, anti cross-country skiing, I would have thought maybe that would have been something he'd already given a go.
His alley.
But I could see Ben with like the crossbow on his back,
100%.
or doing, what do they call that? I can't really think of the name of it.
I can't either. It's an Olympic sport.
It is. So they do it with guns as well.
Yep.
They ski and then they shoot. I could totally see Ben Kelly being that guy.
Sure.
So that's his next career after GNCC. I'm calling it right
fantastic.
now. But and how about Grant when he's like, it's telling, little brother. He's like, a brand new KTM 50. Well, actually, you know what? It was Stu's, but it was in '97 and it was in like 2007. So,
that's
but
fantastic.
It was new to him. So
New to
the
him,
excitement
that's
of a new dirt bike, even if it's not brand new, is still exciting.
That's the life of being a younger sibling. You get all the hand-me-downs. I was the oldest of three, so I never really had that. And then, of course, I got two younger sisters, so it never even really was a thing, except for my youngest. She got everything from my sister. Yeah,
being the oldest isn't all it's cracked up to be.
Yeah.
Though you got to blaze the trail.
I know, that's true.
You got to break in the parents. And
Mom and Dad are a lot harder on us oldest kids. Just saying.
I'm the oldest as well, but so we're watching here on our Yamaha live drone. Thanks to Yamaha Racing for that. Yamaha Racing putting on a nice little shindig last night for all their Blue Crew riders, bringing out the Zaxby's and having the Supercross on the big screen there. I actually went over there and watched all that, so that was good fun and great racing action last night. Aaron Plester getting a lot of TV time, and he was absolutely. I think this is our leader. Judging by the dust berm exploding, that appears to be the 514 Ampro Yamaha of Stu Baylor, and Mikey will follow him on the drone here. What are you seeing out of Stu? You think he's still got that sprint speed going? You think he's trying to get away?
I think Stu went to the Racer TV archives and watched races from the end of last year and said, "Oh, that's right. That's how I'm supposed to ride." And he's coming out and he's doing it. He's riding like a guy that needs to win several times right now. And I know we got a lot of race left, but boy, he's checked out. I mean, I thought Cooper Webb checked out at Supercross last night. Stu Baylor is checking out right now.
He's trying to get away, trying to get outside, trying to open up that gap more and more and more and make it harder and harder for Ben Kelly and Ricky Russell to run him down. And have we not seen those guys yet?
No. And
we had to have missed them. Are we really still waiting on them?
My guess, because Ricky closed that gap up quite a bit. Still waiting, says Adam Gordon.
We're told we are still waiting. We saw Hollywood make a hand gesture. Is this just now Ricky Russell? If this is Ricky Russell and Ben Kelly now, that is Ben, and we have not missed Ricky because there's Ricky behind him. Folks, Stu Baylor is off to the races, and he has put a massive chunk of time into these guys.
Meanwhile, battle for second. I mean, you got in the back of your head, okay, third's behind me. I'm Ben Kelly. I get into the number 2 spot. I got some open track in front of me. but I got to shake these guys first before I can catch up to Stu. Benefit for Ben Kelly, though, right now, he's got open track. He can hit his lines, hit his marks, and maybe make up a little bit of this time, but boy, Stu's not giving an inch.
Rodney Tomlin back in booth with us here. And, Rodney, you just got an update from the track crew on exactly what that gap is.
It's more than 30 seconds right now.
More than 30 seconds. And that in and of itself doesn't seem all that crazy, except for the fact that we saw him just a moment ago, and Ricky had that gap down to what looked to be maybe like 6 or 7 seconds. Yeah. And that was only just a couple miles ago.
Right. And amazingly, you know, talking with Stu coming into this, you would almost think that he was so far behind the 8 ball that his bike wouldn't have even started. You know, I know there's a lot of anxieties and things like that when you come into it, especially, you know, after having the clutch problems in Florida after the second round coming in 2 races down like that. So I'm sure he's hypersensitive to every little thing that's going on, but you can see he's translated that into the racetrack and the race itself here today, and so far so good. Everything seems to be rolling well for Stu Baylor. Wow. I mean, you might not be impressed. You might be impressed. Whatever the case is, I didn't expect to see this so quickly, to be honest with you. Not saying that I didn't expect to see Stu out front and that I didn't expect to see him open it up, but this early in the race, as big as this margin, as fast as this margin is opening up, it's quite impressive.
One of the things Stu Baylor last week when I was down in the pits, and more than one person said this to me, they're like, look at his eyes when he came in. I know at one point toward the end of the race, he had the goggles off on the wrist. You guys had commented on that. And you can see in Stu's eyes when the man is focused. And it's just like he sees red. I don't know what it was. He didn't have those eyes in the last round, and I'm sure that was playing on his mind. Well, I got to think the eyes are focused today.
Yeah, and the eyes, Johnny, if you recall, we almost kind of thought it looked like he had been spent, where he had to.
Yes.
He had so many struggles, and I mean that clutch became a physical problem as much as a motor problem, a motorcycle problem. It became a personal, physical problem, and it zapped him a lot. But he told me even after that, he wasn't as tired as he was frustrated with the circumstance. And rightfully so. But fortunately, it looks like they've got things rectified this week, and we're here to more familiar terrain and territory for most of the GNCC riders. So everything seems to be going very well here in Georgia today for Stu Baylor. Russell, like you said, I mean, thinking back a year ago for that number 212, I mean, he wasn't far out of this position that he's in right now. It's just that it was he and Caleb, but to see the gains that we've made in the last year is just amazing, and glad to see Russell back out there and back top of the class as well. Jordan Ashburn, I know you guys have probably already talked about this, but I'm just blown away at the consistency that this kid has shown. You know, like we've said, we've overlooked him so many times in years past, but I don't think that this Magnum 1 Motorsports rider can be overlooked anymore, to be honest with you. Josh Strain back and forth. Kelly in 5th. I was out at the start getting some things wrapped up before I came over here, and I saw those riders come through after the first lap of racing. There was a big gap already between Baylor and the front 2, and then I kind of wasn't paying a whole lot of attention. I kind of heard bikes go by, and then all of a sudden I heard like this massive roar coming out, and there were 4 riders strong coming through there, which included Ashburn, Strang, Ben Kelly, and Josh Todt. Blaine Michael wasn't far off that pace either, so and surprisingly, Xc2 wasn't far behind. I saw Johnny Gerard come through. I saw Michael Kowski come through, even Tyler Medaglia. And then I saw there was an intense 3-way battle going on for that Xc3 class. 3 riders. Second place, I didn't catch the numbers, but second place passed into first place. I saw that out there in that open field section just before they went back in the woods. So we may have a new leader in the Xc3 class.
Well, Rodney, you know, as you pointed out, there's so many Xc1 guys in that battle. The big change from what we're seeing on screen, we know Ben Kelly, we show him down in that 5th place spot. He's actually in 2nd, and he's started now, as we saw in that last shot, to pull away from the 212 of Ricky Russell. So Ben is the rider on the move at this point. Obviously, the rider really on the move is Stu Baylor out front. But if from what that pack behind them is showing, if there's one rider that's seeming to be a little bit, you know, a little bit extra pep in his step and wanting to go after, well, it looks like Stu kind of slowed down there. Don't know if he was taking a water. He was getting a water bottle. You can see it hanging from his mouth there. He must have been grabbing a water bottle. But it looks like Ben Kelly is the rider who's really kind of stepping up to try and lead this chase pack after this rider right here, the 514 of Stu Baylor.
Warm day here in Georgia. Not nearly as warm as I think the last time we were here when we came and raced the Bulldog. If you remember, riders were jumping in the pond afterwards, but certainly a dry day. If you didn't join us yesterday, we haven't had rain in a couple of weeks here, and you can see by the terrain, and this is one of the reasons we don't see a lot of the open field sections out here in this particular race today. Trying to keep it in the woods, trying to keep that dust down, doing a great job of it as well, because and honestly, watching the racing through the woods has been phenomenal, John.
Yeah, you know, there's a lot of action happening out there in those woods. And now we see it looks like Ashburn has dropped all the way back to that number 6 spot, and hot on his heels is Lane Michael, so being threatened to be pushed back to 7. So a rider that was running up there in the number 3 spot early on, starting to fall back a little bit, but I expect to see this guy shuffle quite a few more times this lap alone, let alone as the race works itself out and we get deeper into the time here. On screen, Stu Baylor on that Yamaha live drone, working his way through. He's just got one more little split line section here. We can see he takes the line around, gets around that lapper. He's got a right-hand turn. He's headed up the hill, and he is headed towards the finish line and the completion of lap number 3, but the second complete lap. So he's going to be right there just at the top of this hill is the finish line chicanes. Just got a couple more turns, a quick left, right, left, and he is into the finish, and we're going to see what his gap is. They were telling us it was upwards of 30 seconds out there at the 9-mile marker. Now with now 3 laps complete, we'll see if we can get both a lap time and a gap back to our second place rider, which as we last saw was Ben Kelly, and he had shaken Ricky Russell. So we'll see what that gap is now here, and Ben Kelly should be coming just about any moment now. We should see the 530 factory FMF Red Bull KTM pop his way into past those monster banners, and there he is. Ben Kelly, your round 2 winner, up into second place, and the gap back to second we'll have here in just a moment. We're trying to get our live scoring to refresh, but as we can see, he has lost the tail. There is now it's Strang up into the 3rd place spot. He's gotten around Ricky Russell. Ricky Russell back to 4th, and just behind Ricky, I believe we should see there is Josh Toth, the 206, that other factory KTM rider, Lane Michael, and there was also Jordan Ashburn. So your top 7 checked in that XC1 class. And Rodney, what is the gap?
Well, just under 32 seconds, 31.9 between first and second place position, a 26:39 lap time by Stu Baylor. Interesting. A 26:40 for Ben Kelly. So I think Ben's made up a lot of time. This seems to be pretty cut and dry for these riders right now, turning nearly identical lap times. Ben having to fight and wage war to get into the position. So you have to wonder if these coming laps might tell a little different stories. We wrap up hour number 1 of 3. And heading into that second hour of racing, this is where it starts to get interesting. And if Ben Kelly keeps this momentum up, he might be able to bridge that gap with Stu Baylor. Thinking about the lap time that he turned in the traffic and fighting and battling, what's he going to do now that he's got a little free air ahead of him? But let's rewind a little bit. Remember last week we had 350 riders on a near 14-mile long race course. This week, 400 riders. There is Stu Baylor making his way in at the 1-mile marker now. And we have 400 riders on the course today. I wonder if lap traffic will be kind of the same thing that we saw. I don't recall that it actually made very many changes in the race. I'm sure it did at times, but what I noticed in last week's race, riders were constantly having to pick through those extra obstacles on the racetrack.
Yeah, absolutely, and we were talking about that actually a little bit ago while you were out, and there is the 530 of Ben Kelly, so that actually he has made up about 2 seconds. It was almost exactly 30 seconds as they passed those 3 arrows on the screen, so he was about 32. Not that that's anything to write home to mom about, but you got to keep chipping away at it. Okay, they're saying it's 42 seconds. Maybe I looked at the clock wrong. I had it at exactly 30. So there is Lane Michael now really putting pressure on Jordan Ashburn, and that is your top 7 through at that specialized E-Turbo section there, and that is right along a very picturesque little pond there at the entrance to the facility. And these guys are, you know, already just pushing the pace, trying to open up gaps, well, Stu's trying to open up a gap, and everybody else is trying to shrink that gap down. But, you know, the other thing you were talking about there, Rodney, with the lapped riders, Yes, I think that is going to factor in. Maybe not as much as what we saw yesterday. We talked about this a few moments ago with, it just being a little bit easier to pass on the bikes. But the one thing right now with that gap that Stu has, regardless of even if it gets down to 20 seconds, when you have a gap of that size, you're able to run your lines, and the guy behind you can't see the lines you're running. When you get closer than that, when you get down into 15 seconds, 10 seconds, 7 seconds, 5 seconds, all the way down to your right on somebody's rear wheel, it's almost like you can get in their draft. And when we say draft, there is no aerodynamic advantages to drafting someone in GNCC, but we can see their lines, and you can see the lines they're taking, and also seeing, well, hey, wait a minute, this actually line looks better because he's really struggling with that rut or those roots. Oh, look at this. Mike Witkowski has now broken away from Johnny Girard. We'll have to see what not by much, just a couple of bike legs. Stu Baylor in the Monster Mile, Rodney.
Wow. Just fluidness right now. He is really uniform with that bike. There's no doubt about it. This guy made to ride motorcycles. There's not a doubt in my mind. And if he doesn't win a GNCC championship throughout his career, it will be a shocker and a surprise as hard as he's been working, especially as of, throughout his entire career. But these last few years, man, he has really dedicated himself to change and moving forward. And this is the result that we're looking at right here.
Yeah, and obviously being a Yamaha guy, I got to point out the fact that, man, he really meshes with that bike. It's like he got on that bike, and I'm sure there's a lot of factors there. The team, the great people around him, the drive that he has to kind of prove everyone wrong. Our clock went away. But there are your second and third place riders. It looks like possibly Josh Strang has gotten around Ben Kelly. He has. Yep. Josh Strang now up into the second place spot. He's gotten around Ben Kelly, and there is second and third, and those guys are off in hot pursuit of Stu Baylor. And I'm sure they're getting the pit boards. It looked like Ricky Russell, Josh Toth, both also there, still in touch with second and third. So you got second, third, fourth, fifth all together. Here is Stu back on screen, and it looks like having to pause a little bit there to make some line choices through a sloppy little section. This is actually just after it crosses a little creek. That section as well gets real deep there. You can see those ruts are deep, and if those lines are plugged up with lapped riders, it's going to be tough for those guys. They may have to hesitate, take a line they don't want to. To answer your question, our lapper is going to factor in. We're only an hour, 4 minutes in, and these guys are already hitting lappers kind of in groups. So here is Grant Baylor back at the 2 mile marker, round 1 winner and points leader. And we got both the Baylors on the screen. We got Stu out front and Grant a little further back. Should be back in about that 8th place spot. I believe he's kind of broken free of Tyler Medaglia and Corey Buttrick, who were there 9th and 10th. But Grant Baylor in 8th. But Rodney, we were talking a little bit ago before you came into the booth. Grant, just an absolute phenomenal charge back at Florida. We talked about he was kind of out of it. It just kind of was back there doing his own thing, and actually got caught by the leaders by Johnny Girard, and Johnny Girard was kind of giving him a tow. Grant was kind of going along with him, and then that lit a fire under Grant. He started pushing, and we started seeing him run lap times actually faster than the leaders. Yeah. And he didn't get within striking distance of a win, but what he did do is he got that 4th place finish and capitalized on a lot of guys having some struggles there towards the end of the race. But also he, in and of himself, was really pushing hard and making up ground, and it salvaged him the points lead.
Yeah, and I was talking with him yesterday, believe it or not, and we were kind of discussing that matter. He says, and this is funny, it's weird how he says it, but I kind of understand what he's saying, because it kind of takes the pressure off him a little bit. He feels a little pressure with that white white number plate with the red numbers, and he said, he goes, I almost wish it was, because had he not made that pass, it would have been a 3-way tie, I believe, if the points would have figured out that way, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, he said it would have been easier for me coming into this race with 3 of us tied rather than having a 2-point lead.
Interesting. I guess they do say that leader's reverse number plate is heavier. They say it carries a weight to it, and maybe Grant feeling that weight, but might be back there in the 8th place spot right now, but I'm not going to be at all surprised if we see Grant get up in there and start battling not only for a podium, but potentially. I don't know, man. He's far enough back now. But we said this at the last race. Right. He's far enough back now that it is going to be very, very difficult. It's surely not impossible, but it's going to be very difficult for him to get up and battle Big Bro Stu who we're seeing on screen right now, I believe, working his way through on that Yamaha live drone from Yamaha Racing, and just great footage. You know, we could really see the speed that these guys carry through these sections, and the way that they're having to pick so many lines. I mean, it's not a matter of picking a line or two. It's every time they crack the throttle, they have to commit to the next line.
You know, interestingly, last week in Florida, it was a rough racetrack. You expect and anticipate that. With it being dry for a couple weeks coming into this, or what we kind of expected this maybe not to be as rough, but from some of the accounts that I've been hearing, this track is really rough this year. And I would say largely due in part to the fact that we've got more riders than we've had here traditionally in the past, too.
Big turnout. Oh, did Stu go down? Did we? He may have just been... I think he was just far enough inside that he tucked under that tree and we missed him. For a minute, I thought he went down, but I think he just tucked in under that tree and made the turn without us seeing him. So I think he's on his way. He's through the thicket there. We talked about the no foliage on the trees. Well, not in this section. There's a little bit of foliage. So we lose him for a minute, but we'll pick him up here again. This is a little further down. This is just after the 4. This is coming into our Yamaha Forest, the opposite direction. And Stu Baylor should be coming in. And we see some amateur riders having the battles of their own on screen there. Hour and almost 10 minutes into this one. And lappers are pretty thick, Rodney.
Yeah. Yes, they are. And that's been kind of the, I think, the theme of the weekend for the most part. This morning saw a lot of lap riders in that WXC battle. That was an intense one there. I think Rachel Archer was leading when I was down there at one point, and Becca was in second. There were like 50 or 60 lap riders in between them, and there were only like 30 seconds that separated them on the clock.
Yeah, here we go. So Stu Baylor there at the 4-mile marker in the Yamaha Forest. Look at him just launching across that ditch, making his own line there. And he takes a look over to his right. And he's looking to see where second is. So 1:08:45. He kind of went through those trees just after the ditch. So we'll see what the gap is. Does not appear that we have caught sight of either Josh Strang or Ben Kelly yet. So
they should be getting in sight about right now, actually.
Looks not quite yet. There is Ben. Ben has gotten back around Josh, it appears. Our clock went away, so we don't get a gap there. But nonetheless, it appears he may have made up a little bit of that time. Now we're back to the 2, and there is Lane Michael and Josh Toth by there. Actually, that was what Lane Michael has gotten around. Josh Toth gotten around. Something happened there. Lane Michael made up a bunch of positions there. He's actually gotten around Jordan Ashburn as well.
Wow.
Josh Strang stopping, talking to the Kawasaki guys. We had some chaos there, folks. Somewhere between the 2 and the 4. Strang has now dropped all the way back to the 7 position.
Wow.
When we last saw him, he was in second ahead of Ben Kelly. And it appears that those guys have made up a little bit of time on Stu, that front part of that group. But Josh Strang has now lost a bunch of time. He's back there all by himself in that number 7 spot.
Wow,
that's a big shakeup.
Yeah, that's a huge shakeup, especially for Josh. Fortunately for him, it's still early in the race. He's kind of like a freight train, if you will, another one of those that it takes a while to get up to speed sometimes. So we might be able to see him battle back as well. But
speaking of freight trains, here comes the big tanker. Graham Baylor, he's getting rolling. He's starting to make up some time. He's lost the tail that he had in Tyler Medaglia and also Corey Buttrick. And actually, when we saw him a moment ago, there is still Mike Wachowski. So Wachowski trying to play the rabbit this race. It was last weekend. It was Johnny Gerard that got up and kind of lit a fire under Grant, pushed him all the way up to a 4th place overall position. And looks like Mike Wachowski trying to be that guy today. And actually, right behind him is the 969 of Johnny Gerard. Yeah. So that is a big battle right now in that Xc2 class. And is this? Yes, it is. The number 1 Rockstar Racing Husqvarna of Craig DeLong. So that's the top 3 in Xc2. Not much separating them, not much in it.
Well, you can't. One thing that we can say about this Xc2 class, consistency by 3 of these riders right now. I know Jonathan had a little bit of problems there that first round, if memory serves me, but both Mike and well, they're all 3 going to be looking at consistent. This championship in this class is going to be exciting. Craig DeLong running back in that number 3 spot there, but Stu Baylor leading Ben Kelly, Josh Strang, Ricky Russell, and Josh Toth. How's this one going on to pan out? Can Stu keep it up front and keep stretching it out? Stick around to find out. GNCC Live continues after this.
Amsoil runs on freedom and has since 1972. We changed the industry by formulating the first API-qualified 100% synthetic motor oil. The rest of the market has been trying to follow our lead ever since. But a head start is a head start. We punish our products firsthand in our world-class laboratories and beyond. Because some things can't be learned from a test tube. Run with us.
Last season was my best season ever by far. I won a lot of races. I won a championship, and it was also my first year using ARMA. And one of the things I noticed was just my ability to string good days together. You know, like especially in the summertime in Florida, where you're riding every day and the heat index is 108 degrees, and you're doing 230s, and going to the gym and bicycle and all that stuff. I think in the past I've been super inconsistent day to day. Yeah, I may have a good race here or a good day during the week there, but overall I think where I improved the most was my consistency in my recovery.
Even when you're the best, you never stop striving to be better. The all-new from the ground up 2019 Yamaha Yz250f is available at LoJack Cycle Sales, alongside the all-new Yz250f and Yz250f, and refined Yz250f. So stop by LoJack Cycle Sales today in Tarentum, Pennsylvania, and visit our online inventory at www.lojacks.com. Yamaha Yz's. It's why we ride.
This week in Yamaha history takes us back to the 2007 Triton Gncc in Vero Beach, Florida. It was the kickoff to the new season, and all the day's players were on hand. Riders like Bill Balance, Chris Borich, Taylor Kaiser, William Yoakley, Chris Bithell, Brian Cook, Chris Jinks, Santo DeRisi, and so many more. At the start of the race, it was the younger brother of Bill Balance, Brandon Balance, taking the lead on lap number 1, a lead that he held on to through the entire lap. On lap 2, Big Brother, who was only 11 seconds back, took the lead and never looked back. Lap 2 also saw a change by Bithell, who found himself in 3rd before falling back to 7th. The battle was intense as Bill Balance stretched the lead. The rest of the field jumbled themselves about before they finally settled in. At the end and the checkers, Bill Balance took a 49-second win over Chris Borich in 2nd, and Taylor Kaiser was over 5 minutes back in 3rd place. And that's this week in Yamaha history.
Wow. You know, I got to say, I like Florida, and we've had a lot of great Florida rounds. Vero Beach, I don't know what it was about that one. I really liked that one. I guess it was the location right off the interstate right there. It just seemed to be a great one for me. But some good memories coming in from that.
You probably liked it because you didn't have to race it. That place sucked. Glad we never went back.
Well, from a fan standpoint, it was pretty convenient and nice the way that it was located.
Yeah, no, great location in terms of to get to. It was just the track itself was, man, I
a one and done, if I remember correct.
I believe it was. Yeah, we did Vero 1 year, Melbourne 1 year. So there was those.
And then I think that's when we went down to River Ranch after that.
I think that was
a ways away from the Daytona Bike Week and stuff. But man, I really liked it down there at River Ranch. It had a great aura about it, no doubt about it, and love it over at Hogwaller now as well. Back to the Robin Plantation, but back here in Georgia, Johnny. Here we are heating up the season. I mean, we're only 3 rounds deep, but amazing how exciting this championship already is. And we kind of anticipated this coming into this one, knowing that the returning champion was not going to be here, and that left the top step completely wide open. And a lot of hungry individuals and a lot of re-inspired individuals to go for the gold, so to speak.
Yeah, you know, and we've talked about this, you know, we kind of coined the phrase the post-kid wrestling era, but the parity that we're seeing in the, you know, the absolute just kind of jockeying for position, the shuffling, if you will, of who's kind of top dog, who's the alpha male right now. You know, I would say we expected it to be Stu, but based on the end of last season, Stu was, you know, I would say atop a very short list. And Grant Baylor came out and shocked us all, winning round 1 and continuing to be the point sitter here after 2 rounds. So Grant kind of has proved to be the best so far, but you know, Stu obviously having his struggles. Josh Strang, consistent, strong. Jordan Ashburn, consistent, strong. Ben Kelly, we've talked about it multiple times at the last race. At round 1, he was disappointed himself with that 5th place finish. It sounded like the team was not overly thrilled with the 5th. Comes back, grabs the win at round 2. So it's kind of been, you know, everybody trying to establish themselves as the guy to beat, and probably trying to gain that mental edge of everyone else. You heard Stu say it so many times. For all these years, everybody else is worried about everybody else, and Caleb was only worried about himself. So everybody kind of wants to be that guy that everyone else is worried about. Stu Baylor on screen coming around the outside and leading the way on that 514 Pro Yamaha out in the field section. We're watching this from our Yamaha live drone, and Stu Baylor leading the way on his Yamaha Yz250f, that Pro Yamaha, and looking good. I mean, looking real good.
Burning question in my mind right now is what did happen to Josh Strang dropping from 2nd place back to the 7th place position in this class as Stu Baylor weeds his way through not only the trees but also lap traffic, extra obstacles, as we said, not really causing any problems, but definitely altering line choices, I'm sure, in different sections of the race course. Back out in the open section here, so check him out from high above there. Looks like he's got an open, free, clear racetrack for the most part, but he's got a few lap riders just ahead of him in that wood section, so try to strengthen the lead that he has over the 2nd place ride right now.
And going back to your question, Ronnie, I don't think it's just what happened to Josh Strang. There's a great shuffle way up, way up. And Kelly retook that 2nd place position. It looked like Josh Toth actually gave him some ground, and Jordan Ashburn dropped back as well.
Right.
So there was a lot of shuffling in a very short section of race. We don't yet know what caused that, but you know, there is a couple sections, technical sections in between there where one of them really kind of gave away. They were anticipating riders.
Maybe Mikey Waynes can investigate that burning question as to what went in with that big jumble up there. It'd be interesting to see what the face of this race is looking like once we reach the conclusion of lap number 4 that we are on right now. 1 hour and nearly 20 minutes into this race, or just over 20 minutes now. Leaders due in about 5 minutes, and Mikey Waynes may have a report. Mikey?
Down here just kind of waiting with bated breath to steal one from Rodney Tomlin. Pits, everybody's kind of getting ready to pit, so we'll see how things shape up. Got Nick V down there, the man with the plan with the camera, down at the Yamaha pits. I got my eyes on everything else, so hopefully we'll have a report for you here soon. Keep you guys updated, see what that shuffle's all about.
All righty, thanks a lot. Riders will be checking into the finish line, I think, just prior to the pit stops. So we'll get an idea of what gaps are looking like and what we can expect to see in the pits, if there'll be any strategies come into play. But we are approaching the hour-and-a-half mark, and that halfway point of the race, Johnny, I mean, traditionally is a good place to go ahead and make that pit stop. To try to stretch it out and play a pitting strategy at this point in the race may be a little bit of a stretch.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's these guys know their fuel mileage. They know, you know, they kind of know their race strategy. So it's all going to play out in front of us. All right, right here on screen. Once we get to the BP Fuels Pro Row, following the action on our Yamaha live drone. And you know, I got to tell you, Rodney, this track has just gotten so rough. Hard to see from this view, but when we see those shots from the ground, you know, the loops are just getting deeper and deeper. The holes are getting deeper and deeper. The ruts are getting deeper and deeper. And, you know, we started to talk a little bit, and we had some action on screen. The moisture that's in the ground.
Yeah.
Weren't anticipating that. Really weren't.
Right.
You know, it's been dry. We were expecting it to be dusty. It's really not as dusty as we had thought that it was going to be. It's really kind of honestly caught a lot of us off guard. There's always going to be some soft spots here in Georgia. This Georgia clay just kind of holds moisture pretty well. looks like we may have, there is Ben Kelly's second place rider coming through there at the 9-mile marker. We should be, so with 9 miles, just about, oh, look at that. See, Josh Toad. That's what we were talking about. Josh Toad has gotten around Ricky Russell and is putting some pressure on Ben Kelly. He is up to the 3rd place ride now.
Was that Ricky Russell, maybe?
Yes, Ricky was right behind, sorry. Ricky was right behind Josh Toad there. There is Jordan Ashburn. So it looks like maybe Jordan has gotten back around Lane Michael. Unless we missed Lane. We'll see here. We are at the 9-mile marker. We'll be watching for the blue 523 on the Ampro Yamaha Lane Michael, and also the 114 of Josh Strang. And it sounds like we got Mikey Waynes coming through with some.
Hey guys, give you an update. Kawasaki pits, Babbitt's Online, Monster Energy Kawasaki pits, going to be an entire front brake change for Josh Strang. So we'll anticipate him doing that. We'll see how fast they can get her dialed and get him back out on the track.
Well, what caused that, who knows? I would say some sort of incident, like you said, the big shuffle up out there. So something went on in that short section of the racetrack. Josh Strang, obviously, the shortest end of the stick out there.
There's Lane Michael. So Lane has dropped a lot of time. When we last saw him, he was up into maybe that 3rd or definitely at least the 4th place spot. But now he's all the way back, and there is look like Johnny Gerard and Mike Wachowski headed towards VP Fuels Pro Row. And speaking of VP Fuels Pro Row, Corey McDonald with the watch out, and he's watching for the 514 Ampro Yamaha.
I guess it's just before the finish, not just after. I said just after.
Correct, yes. The pro pits are coming in. It's from here, it's about probably 3/4 of a mile or so to the finish from there.
I was looking at the track map a little backwards, I guess, there in that section. But regardless, pit stops are going to be very, very critical here. Stu, I'm sure not going to have much other than a goggle change, maybe a drink of water and splash and dash. The rest of the guys, obviously, probably pretty much the same thing. The only rider we're anticipating any major work going into is that Babbitt's Online Team Green Kawasaki ride of Josh Strang, who evidently had an issue in this lap and has damaged that piece on the bike. So they're going to try to get that fixed and get him back up to speed.
That is unfortunate, and they've got the arm up, which signifies that they believe Stu is going to be one of the next riders around the corner, and there he is. Up high, signaling for him to get down low, get into the pits, removes the dry brake cap himself to maximize efficiency. They're using that IMS dump can to get all the fuel they can in there. You can see, look at that. His hair is soaking wet. That man is sweating. He's giving it everything he's got, taking a hammer gel there, and on his way.
Wow, look, you can see the sweat on his back, too, how wet he is. It's a hot day. This is one of those days, you know, you think still kind of pre-spring, you think maybe it's going to be a little cooler and a little chill in the air. No, it's not. The chill in the air was last week in Florida. It was nice and sunny and warm, but there was still a slight chill in the air. Here in Georgia, it has not been that at all. It's been rather, I wouldn't say stumpy, but it has been hot. And you get out in that sun, man, it's really intense stuff. So these guys are really being put to the test here today early on in the spring, having to ride in these warmer conditions.
You see the bike stand, and the waiting mechanic looks to be Joe Maurer there with the tools and parts ready for his man, Josh Strang, 114 machine. Looks like some meters going by there. I'm not sure who that was, but we're going to find out. You know, we're just about a mile or so away from getting the gaps to find out exactly what kind of damage has Stu Baylor done this week. Or this lap. How much has he pulled out? We think it's, we know it was 31.9 seconds last lap, and we think that gap has grown possibly considerably.
26:39 was the lap time last time around, and we wait right now as he is due into the finish line about any time.
He is coming, and he's just got a couple more turns, and he will be at the finish line.
This is there. Yeah, there you go. I think that was probably closer to a 12-mile marker than a 2-mile marker. But yeah, we are getting close to the finish line. Going there, you can see off to the right there the place where he threw the race away here last year.
Yeah, you think he gets cringes every time he comes by there?
I would say that the blood pressure raises just a little bit. All right, a 26:39 lap time on lap 3 with a pit stop. And at the end of lap number 4 is our computer timing and scoring computer updates, 28:06. So lap traffic has played a little bit of a role in that in that battle out there, slowing that rider down nearly a minute and 20+ seconds or so.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
I did not expect that.
I know, and watching the way that these riders are riding, you can't tell the time is being lost in the grand scheme of things. There's Josh Strang in. Mikey Waynes, I'm sure, down trackside going to watch this, as he said, with bated breath and see how this all transpires for him.
Yeah, what we're seeing here is point salvage mode. You know, these guys are doing everything that they can to try and get him back on screen. Not to be negative here, but Josh is essentially out of a podium battle for the day, barring, you know, something crazy. I think at this point you're just trying to maximize your points and try to get it, if possible, maybe into the top 10 overall.
Right.
I don't know what's realistic at this point. They'll probably reassess after they make this brake change. Josh will see how he feels. Assuming it was just a brake issue and he and the bike are otherwise fine, obviously he should be able to chip away at the gaps and make up some time. But I think we're going to see him drop probably close to the tail end of the top 20, outside the top 15 by the time this is all said and done and the brake change is complete. Grant Baylor on screen coming in, so that's going to move Grant up probably to at least the 7th place spot.
28-12 for Ben Kelly checking in second place, 37.9, call it 38 seconds behind Baylor, so he has lost another 6 seconds after time. Josh Toth in third, Ricky Russell in fourth, Jordan Ashburn now checking in fifth, and Mikey Waynes checking in with us from the VP Fuels Pro Road.
Hey, Rodney, just wanted to give you an update from the Babbitt's Online Monster Energy Cowie pits. Anybody out there who thinks Josh Strang is in the twilight of his career and he's out there having fun and doesn't care where he finishes, boy, you're dead wrong. I've not seen the man that frustrated in my 5 years of calling races. What you didn't see off camera, he was back here very, very visibly frustrated with the situation. Some words that we'll save for the HBO special, but Cameron Strang jumped in, the wife jumped in, she said, hey, calm down, we'll get it together, we'll get her whipped, and as you guys saw on screen, they got it back out there ripping and rolling.
Well, just an update in the Xc2 250 Pro class. Witkowski has checked through, and Gerard has checked in 1.7 seconds back, so those two riders are still running nip and tuck and nose to tail, 44 seconds back. In the number 3 spot is your defending Xc2 champion Craig DeLong, and looking for Evan Smith to check in fourth with Cody Barnes in fifth. We'll see what kind of changes will be taking place there. That's in-class scores that we're looking at right now for the Xc2 250 Pro class. As we go back to our Xc1 Pro class, again, Baylor, Ben Kelly, Josh Toth, Ricky Russell in fourth. Mike Witkowski checks in. That is 5th place overall, leading that Xc2. Jonathan Gerard in the number 6 spot. On the 969, that is overall, 2nd in class. Jordan Ashburn, 7th in the overall right now. Grant Baylor checks in 8th overall. That puts him 6th in class when you start doing the math. So I think he may have made a couple of gains out there. Craig DeLong in 9th place. Josh Strang has dropped back to at least 10th place, at least at the moment, and waiting to see if more riders have checked in as we update once more. And Josh might get away with a 10th place position coming out of this brake change, Johnny, and if that's the case, I mean, you didn't see a super sense of urgency by the pit crew. You saw Fred Andrews, you saw Joey Maurer, but what you saw was intent and dedication to the project, which they didn't act like, like they were on fire. They just had a mission and they made it happen.
Yeah, and that was a great front brake system change. Very quick, very efficient, like you said. Had a mission, got it done. This man on a mission, Stu Baylor, the 514 Ampro Yamaha, just pushing, trying to open up that gap even further. We know that it is 38 seconds, roughly 37.9. So he opened up about 5 seconds on that lap over Benjamin Kelly, but the rider on the move that lap, not by a whole lot, but Josh Toth with that 28.02 was the fastest rider on track. Actually, Mike Witkowski was the fastest rider on track. Oh, correct that. Scratch that out. Johnny Gerard was the fastest rider on track. So the Xc2 boys putting down a heater that lap. And that was evident by the way they were battling. Yeah. There is Ben Kelly, so he is still clawing, trying everything he can to try to get up to the rear wheel of Stu Baylor. But he's got a road to hoe right now. He's about 38 seconds behind. Josh Toth was kind of mirroring Ben there when we saw him last, so it looks like maybe Ben has opened it up just a little bit. There was only 7.8 seconds, and it appears that may have opened up just a tad. There is Ben Kelly, the 530 machine, and wait and see where Josh Toth is, and if that's still around that 8-second gap. That is not there. I don't believe Jordan Ashburn. So I think we missed Josh. He went by on the other side there. So Jordan Ashburn back in that 4th place spot. Actually, Ricky Russell was in 4th, and Jordan was back in the 5th place spot in Xc1. So we may have missed Ricky as well. And here comes Grant. Grant Baylor is now making up time.
This is where it gets exciting. We are at the hour-and-a-half mark, and this is where the switch flips for this rider we call Grizzly Grant Baylor. And, of course, we'll see if the claws are out and if he's digging. I want to point out our rider from Chile here with us on the Sherco, the 543, Benjamin Herrera there. Good to see him back with us again this week. Looks like I'm not sure how many visits he's going to be making with us here in the GNCC, but he seems to be kind of getting things dialed in here in the USA as he is now running 13th overall, which puts him, I think, in a pretty solid top 10 in class, which is pretty impressive, I believe.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we talked about that before with the international flair always coming in and you know, kind of spicing things up, and it's good to have those riders here and definitely give them an opportunity to try out a new form of racing or a new format of racing, and gives the American guys here and the guys that race this normally an opportunity to race against some international flair.
No doubt. And of course, right now, well, if you're doing calculations, we should probably see our leaders back for the conclusion of this 5th lap in about 22 minutes or so. Amazing the changes that we see in that short amount of time, Johnny. Is, you know, last race we were watching Ben Kelly look like at times he may be pushing and closing that gap on Baylor, but he maintained about a 30-second gap for most of the race, most of that lap, opening up to nearly 40 seconds, finishing that lap up just under 38 seconds, separating the two. Like you pointed out, Josh Toth, though, a good commendable ride by him, turning a 10-second faster lap time than Ben Kelly, and actually 4 seconds faster than Stu Baylor, who had a 28.06. So Josh Toth is seeming to pick up some steam here as we roll through the halfway point of it. Ricky Russell still 4th, Mike Witkowski 5th, Jonathan Gerard in 6th, and as we pointed out, those riders are still sub 28 minutes. 27.50 for Mike Witkowski, 27.48 for Jonathan Gerard. And you know, I think there's a few variables that we can toss into that. One of those, obviously, talking about the heated battle that those two riders are in amongst each other, but I don't know that they've gotten as deep into the lap traffic yet either. They haven't caught as many riders that would slow them down, would be my guess on that. But then again, that may not even be a factor for these two, as they are pushing rather intensely in this Xc2 class.
Look at that. Speaking of Xc3,
Russell
Bobbitt in the 3rd place spot on the 113 Husqvarna. So former Xc1 pro racer and multi-time national enduro champion Russell Bobbitt out here giving the Xc3 class.
He hasn't even been racing the last few years, has he?
He hasn't raced at GNCC in quite some time, but it's a home state race for him. He doesn't live too far from here, does Russell. He's a Georgia native. I know he's been spending a bunch of time out west they have the Gnarly Roots tours where you can go ride with Russell Bobbitt and Cole Kirkpatrick on machines that they'll prepare. You just fly in and get to ride some sweet terrain all around the country. But Russell Bobbitt on the 113 Husqvarna out there just getting it right now in the 3rd place spot. Jonathan Johnson, Chase Colville, Ben Parsons, Zach Hayes, Max Fernandez, a lot of riders, Noah Clark, Dustin Simpson, Jay Lipscomb, all those guys up there just battling it out. And I tell you what, those things sound cool coming through the woods, just singing.
Well, you know, I mentioned being on the start line and the leaders coming through. I got to see Xc1, I got to see Xc2, and then I got to see Xc3, which at that time was pretty close, I think. Relatively in distance physically on the racetrack, but the way they were zinging and the sound of that two-stroke. I know I say it all the time and I sound like a broken record, but that is such a nice sound to hear amongst all those 4-strokes.
Stu Baylor, leader on screen, the 514 machine just charging, trying to open up that gap. 38 seconds is the gap he had over Ben Kelly. You can see him taking a look over to his right. I'm sure he's gotten pit boards at this point, so he knows he's got upwards of 30 seconds, but that's human nature, man. You can't help but just take a look and just make sure you see a bike and you're like, that's not him, is it? So that's Stu's probably nervous energy. You know, I wouldn't say he's afraid, but you just want to keep an eye on things. You don't want somebody to sneak up on you.
Right. Magna One Motorsports ride again is Jordan Ashburn out there with us in this Xc1 Pro class, but the Magna One Motorsports team has got a rather large team this year and rather successful. And I know last race Chase Landers took the overall win in the youth morning race, and we had yet another great battle shaping up this morning in youth motorcycle racing with 220 riders registered to race this morning's race. And, of course, my son, starting 10 minutes late, finished 188th overall, which I was pretty proud of. He passed 40-some people to get to that point. But nonetheless, I believe Mikey Waynes is standing by with our winners from this morning.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Down here with Chase Landers. I keep calling you your dad's name, dude. But Chase, man, going back to back. You said it last weekend. You got the win. I said, what's next? We know what the big scheme is, what the big picture is, but he said, what's next? He said, I want to go back-to-back wins. Tell us about that win today. Is that coming through, fellas?
There's
it was amazing. We got a third-place start and worked our way into the lead. Battled back and forth with Caleb Lane early and just stayed consistent the whole entire race and got the lead on the last lap and did what we could and excited for the next couple rounds and see what it holds. Next, we want to come out to Camp Coker and race for Lucas. It's his birthday that weekend, and we're excited to go get it for him.
All right, well, congratulations to Chase Landers. They're going back-to-back wins. Rodney, I'll piggyback off of that. Give a quick shout-out. We have on Bottleneck Live, we've got that eBay auction that is up and live for him. So I know we talked about that a little bit yesterday on Racer TV. Folks at home, if you get a chance, check that out. Check out bottlenecklive.com, and we'll get you the link on eBay there. And bid on some pretty awesome signed jerseys from Gncc, from Supercross, and some NASCAR guys as well. Send it back to you, Rodney.
All righty, thanks a lot, Mikey Waynes, being joined in the studio with Jason Wygant, who took a little spin around the racetrack in the 40-plus class this morning, man.
I don't like to admit that.
Wait,
I honestly
you're 40?
Well, no, maybe I'm not. I just wanted to sandbag and cheat. How about that?
Well, we'll get more details on that, as well as get us back up to speed in what's taking place here in Georgia today. It's another exciting one, history in the making at the Specialized General GNCC. Stick around. GNCC Live continues after this.
Hi, my name is Andrea Lee, the director of On Track School. How would you like to go to a school where we take into consideration how students learn best? Well, we do that because we find if we can build the curriculum around the things you are interested in, you're going to do a better job. The mission at On Track School is that educational success is possible while chasing your dreams. Not only will our staff help students to achieve success, they will cheer you on to the finish line. We encourage you to check out On Track School at ontrackschool.com, where we can help you chase your dreams and still get a quality education.
We are American motorcyclists. We are members of the American Motorcyclist Association. Racers, fans, and crew. We come together for this sport we love, to race together, to grow together. We start young and not so young. We race motorcycles and ATVs. We become friends. We become family. We compete for weekend bragging rights and national championships. We make memories on the toughest off-road courses in the country and on the best motocross tracks in the world. Some of us aspire to the speed and poise of road racing or the fierce competitiveness of American flat track. And we honor our greatest champions in the AMA Motorcycle Hall of Fame. Through it all, we cheer. We win and we lose. We are racing. We are the AMA. Race with us. Be part of the greatest sport in the world. Be an American motorcyclist. Join us today at www.amajoin.com/join-now.
Monster Energy AMA Supercross in FIM World Championship.
22 riders in the starting gate believe I will be champion.
Be there to see who wins the round at Atlanta Motor Speedway, April 10th, 13th, and 17th. Visit supercrosslive.com to get your tickets today.
The Yamaha Gncc University returns, calling all ATV and motorcycle off-road racers. Are you looking to hone your riding and racing skills? Want to learn hands-on with the best of the best past and current Gncc racers and champions? Then sign up for the 2021 Yamaha Gncc University, returning to Snowshoe Mountain Resort June 23rd through the 25th. We're bringing together Yamaha's ATV and motorcycle racing elite to instruct in-depth courses and fundamentals of racing and riding. During the Yamaha Gncc University, students will participate in lectures about sportsmanship, training, proper nutrition, and mental preparation, along with hands-on skills and drills designed to improve your riding and confidence in a variety of terrain and situations. Reservations are on a first-come, first-served basis, with limited openings evenly split between the disciplines. For more details and to register, contact Snowshoe Mountain Resort at 877-441-4386.
Welcome back to GNCC Live from Washington, Georgia. It's the Specialized General GNCC. Rodney Tomlin along with, of course, Johnny Gallagher and Mikey Waynes. And, of course, also welcoming to the booth Jason Wygant here in a few moments. Right now, though, let's take a look at our amateur rundown. As we know, a big part of GNCC racing is all about the amateurs, as we are nearly 2,000 riders strong and nearly 400 strong in this afternoon's racing event. And an hour and 44 minutes into this race, just past the halfway point, we'll get a pretty good idea of what some of these classes are starting to look like. And of course, as we take a look at our amateur rundown, we'll go in to, as soon as my computer updates here. And if you look at the FMF Xc2 125 Pro-Am, it is Jonathan Johnson out front in that one, with Chase Colville still in second. Russell Bobbitt, as we pointed out, in the number 3 spot. Parsons in the number 4 spot, and Zach Hayes rounding out the top 5. As we take a look at our next class, we dive into the amateurs and our A classes that we'll be looking at first here. Will Stuyvenpiper, the number 32 Open A class leader out of Cumming, Georgia, with 29, and Chase Hayes in second. Tyler Brandt, the 51 out of Terre Alta, West Virginia, third. Zachary Nash, the 129, and fourth out of Sharpsburg, Georgia. In fifth place, the 290 of Tanner Whipple, one of the riders from out in the Midwest out of Kelowna, Illinois. Great motocross racer as well as off-road racer. As we take a look at our next class, Burke Marsiglia in the Open B class, the 820 from Sparks, Glencoe, Maryland, leading the 107 of Miles Gefkin out of Bentham, Pennsylvania. The 381 Cutter Holloway out of Texas running in third. Grant McCoy out of Tiplersville, Mississippi, the 362 in fourth. The 460 Matthew Harris out of Monterey, Tennessee rounds out your top 5 there in that Open B class. As we take a look next, Joe Cunningham leading that 258 class, and Bubs Tasha, who gave him a fit in the run in the first, just a week ago out of North Falmouth, Massachusetts, running in that second place position, some 51 seconds back this time around. The 704 Tristan Landrum, another stiff competitor in that class, out of Nelsonville, Ohio, in third. Trevor Maley, the 717 from North Canton, Ohio, is in fourth, and the number 30 Dakota DeBoer from Yerkesville, Ohio, he is in that number 5 spot. Next class we'll be taking a look at the 250Bs with Lane Whitmer out of Amity, Pennsylvania, the 587 out front. 139 John McGee out of Lexington, South Carolina, in second. 257 Joaquim Borgano in the number 3 spot out of Cairo, Georgia. 422 Dakota Cunningham from Murray City, Ohio. And fifth place, the 878 of Andrew Inman from Bangor, Pennsylvania. Our next class that we'll take a look at, I believe this will be a 4-stroke, no, this is the 150 class. Sean Myers, the 421 from Reimersburg, PA, leading. The 494 of Ryan Piper out of Jolton, Tennessee, by about 5, almost 6 minutes. 213 Toby Cleveland, I believe, got the whole shot in the class out of Air, New York, running in third. The 439 Hunter Smith from Sanger, Texas, in fourth. 364 Lucas Valdebenito from Chile rounds out the top 5. So good to see international flavor in our amateur ranks today as well. 150Bs. The 444 of Hayden Myers from Union Grove, North Carolina, leading the 398 of Nicholas Paxarez out of Cairo, Georgia. The 477 Jay Petard from Suwanee, Georgia, is fourth place. Then the 465 of Carter Wendland from Zanesville, Ohio. In fifth place, the 426 of Conley McIlvain from Colliersville, Tennessee. Up next, we take a look at, looks like the Vet A class. Andrew Smith from Harrisburg, Missouri, the 358, out front of the 48 of Joe Marsh from Indianola, Pennsylvania. The 570 of Tyler Trammell of Dahlonega, Georgia. Sorry about that, in the fourth place position. In fifth place, Scott Cunningham. And something, Andrew France, I should say, in fourth out of Louisville, Ohio, and Scott Cunningham out of Nelsonville, Ohio. I just got to say, Hollywood, our spotter out on the track, when I first started announcing, drove that one into my brain. Dahlonega, not the. Okay, I got it. I forget what I used to call it, but whatever it was, it will not come off my lips anymore. I got chastised so many times for saying it wrong. Going to the Vet B 30+ class next. It's Travis Raynaud, 104 out of Stafford, Missouri, leading the 36 Tyler Palmer out of Denver, North Carolina, by only 4 seconds. 922 Grant Davis out of Mashopin, PA. Looks like what we got going on over there, Jason Wygant, looks like our leader checking in there.
Well, yes, our leader, and it's Stu Baylor. So I don't know. Is there an opportunity to have 3 different winners in 3 rounds for 2021?
Looks like that could be what we're seeing. Just real quick, go ahead.
No, you got classes to run through?
Yeah, no, I just wanted to know if we've seen, there's Stu still.
Yeah, there's Stu. We had a couple shots of him, had the drone, and then we got him in the woods. The gap's pretty big. I'm even trying to figure out who's chasing him at this point. I mean, he's gone, folks.
Yeah, he's probably looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of a 50-second lead right now. Just a couple more classes. Max Grant leading the 4-stroke B lights class. Ty Ely in second. Levi Self in third. Ben Thomason is fourth. Levi Ward in the number 5 spot. Then Tyler Brunton, the 203, leading the junior AB 25+ class. Grant Marriott in second. Chris Montgomery in third. Steve Gerard in the number 4 spot. And Charles Hugel, the 473, rounding out the top 5 of the junior AB 25+ class. Vet B, Brandon Belcher leading Michael Cheney. David Smith in third. David Rabaninsky in fourth. And C.J. Seitzinger in the number 5 spot. And senior A class, Mylon Frank Messina leading Joe Dean, 446 in second. Michael Crane, the 548 in third. Sterling Amancio in fourth. And shotgun Sean Remington, the 63, rounds out the top 5. Senior B, William Hollenbeck leading Scott Dowling. Rodney Johnson in third. Felipe Branger in fourth. And Ray Hinch rounds out your top 5. And that's your amateur rundown. Some 400 riders strong here this afternoon. And pro racing, as we said, makes up a small percentage of it. But that's the place where everybody wants to be, Jason Wygant. And right now, the guy that is in that place where everybody wants to be, Stu Baylor. And as we pointed out, a pretty monumental lead here on lap number 5.
Man, if it ends like this, and that's obviously a big if, you could always run into bike problems in the last lap. Ask me how I know. So no lead is safe. My morning race was going well, then the bike died, and I ended up getting towed in by Sweep. The magic button, the electric starter, no longer did anything. So anything can happen. I've learned that firsthand. It's very frustrating. But if this were to end like this, it is amazing how the narrative would change in those 3 rounds. I really thought after we had the win in Florida by Ben Kelly, I'm like, look, he's kind of next in line with the team that's dominated this series for so long. We knew it was coming eventually. Maybe it's already happening right in front of us. Maybe it's all this talk about all these guys that have been there before. Maybe it's just Ben Kelly's time to take over, and we should have known that all along. Now maybe it's Stu's time to take over. And obviously we had Grant Baylor winning the opener and a lot of other guys going fast. I feel like it's 3 completely different stories in 3 races.
Yeah, it is. And I think the thing we got to remember about Ben Kelly, though he has been around for a handful of years, he's still not truly seasoned to a full GNCC championship year. Not that he's not fast, not that he's not fast enough to take the championship, and it couldn't happen. But the thing about it is that, again, I go back to the seasoning part of it. And there's certain things about being around this game for a little longer that gives you a couple of little advantages. But as this season wears on, we may see that swing. We may see that seasoning come in.
Yeah, we know that last little percentage. It just, how many times, Rodney, have you seen a guy win his first race or get on his first win streak? And what do they always say? It's actually easier than it's ever been. I don't know. I'm not training harder. I'm not riding harder. It was the easiest thing I've ever done. It just happens. So Ben Kelly, I'm just like, dude, that moment could come at any time.
Right.
And after he won round 2 and he had to do some work to get there, he didn't start up front. I was like, man, maybe this is it. But this is a guy, he definitely has some seasoning. I mean, it's like everything you got in the spice cabinet.
Yeah, exactly.
When you talk seasoning, you talk Stu Baylor.
It's the melting pot. You take your hand over the counter at the end of making the meal and just put it all in the pot. There's Stu Baylor.
Hey, the Stu.
Stu. Oh, Rodney, nice. And how fitting would it be? Look, if there's any one guy that would ever not even race the first round of a series and somehow come back to miraculously win the title, could you pick any more of a wild card kind of guy to do it? Like, this would be your guy.
Right.
I do think Stu Baylor right now, Johnny and I talked about this early in the show, is in a situation where he now has to win. He has to click off wins. Not finishing in round 1, or excuse me, not posting, not I don't know if I said posting. Adam was in my ear. Not finishing round number 1 or not racing round 1, and then the 14th place finish in round 2. It's go time for Stu Baylor. He knows how hungry the rest of the pack is. He knows he's got to make it happen now.
Well,
is that bike problems, by the way, in Florida? Is that?
Yeah, he had
up there.
clutch problems. Yeah, his clutch went completely up. He had he just basically melted down. He was very frustrated about that. But you know, look at this big picture. As miraculous and as crazy as it seems, and as exciting as it can and would be if this comes to pass, we got to look at the big picture. In years past, we've seen the race and the championship be won in 10 rounds or 11 rounds. And that leaves the last 3 rounds where the champion doesn't even have to race. You know what I'm saying? So what's to say that it can't work the opposite way, where the guy gets a slow start, and then all of a sudden, by the end of the season, he puts himself right where he wants to be. And this guy right here.
Fitting. It's fitting. I don't know what else to say. A 2-lap card out.
Even though the title has been wrapped up early, even by Caleb Russell the last couple of years, you know, like, we had that weirdo race in Pennsylvania where Toad was in the lead and Caleb ended up winning, and everybody's like, what difference does it make? Caleb doesn't need every point. He's got a giant points lead.
Right.
He ended up getting hurt in the end.
Yeah.
And he almost needed every point.
Yeah.
So we have seen the big points lead being absolutely necessary. Sometimes rounds 11, 12, 13, weird stuff happens. So it is not over, I feel, for Stu. We've even seen it with Caleb Russell. You are a knee injury away from coughing up 50 points and allowing this guy to be right back in it. Even as dominant as we saw Caleb Russell be, there were some titles that you didn't think would be nail-biters that almost became it.
You know, and amazing for Stu Baylor. He is not only top of the game in the GNCC world, U.S. Sprint Enduro, and also the National Enduro Championship. He is top of the game in there. I mean, right now, I don't know anybody on this level. And not saying that we don't have speed and guys that can beat him on given days, but right now, in this form of Stu Baylor, I'm not banking on him, but I would be willing to put some money against that he could pull this championship out, especially if these kind of rides continue. But we know, hey, this is GNCC racing.
Yeah.
Anything can happen.
Well, he's giving himself no room for error. That's the real
problem.
That's
for sure.
Right?
But I mean,
saying,
honestly,
Mikey, he's got to win every race pretty much.
Does not he work better like that? Doesn't he work better like that when he doesn't have room for error? When you put his back against the wall and he has to fight, that's when you see the best results out of Stu. I don't know if he just gets more focused, gets more determined, whatever the case may be. Put him against the wall, you're in trouble.
Well, today, to point something out, I know the folks were probably wondering that first lap he had where he stopped in the pits for a brief second. We only had the drone over there in the moment. I talked to AmPro. They said he was a little nervous about that clutch adjustment. Thought, okay, I just want to double check. So there was the big lead. He said, I've got a big lead. I'm going to pull in. I'm going to let these guys look at it. So there's that trust that Stu Baylor's got in the AmPro Yamaha team, and I think that has done wonders for his racing program.
Well, again, a great team over there. Johnny pointed out, the team, the bike, Stu, this time in Stu's life and career. And I don't think more things could have been right for this perfect storm that we see brewing with the Blue Crew and Stu Crew right now going on.
I like the timing, yes, because that team has always been there. We saw a lot of big pushes from manufacturers a long time ago, and those teams are gone. Now some of them have come back. But Ampro Yamaha has been doing the exact same thing the whole time, and how many times they've been hitting their head up against the wall trying to figure out how to beat this Austrian juggernaut. And I feel like they just get more and more motivated. Like, someday we're going to get it back. We're going to get this title back. They've won it plenty of times. Paul Wibley, Barry Hawk. Then they find this guy who also has a chip on his shoulder, that also has something to prove, that also is also really frustrated with those other teams. It is the perfect storm, I think. Yeah.
What would that mean to off-road racing? I mean, that would be so monumental in our world to see something like that happen. Because KTM is so dominant in this realm of racing.
Yeah, and there's Randy Hawkins and his crew digging every year, turning over every rock and stone, trying to figure it out. I do have to do some business here, so my son here is named Lane. He's in the booth with us. Lane Michael is his favorite, obviously.
I wonder why.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought for sure.
So he just wants an update.
Where's Lane Michael?
He just likes his riding style, I guess. I don't know. Perfect. Yeah.
Lane Michael is currently 10th place overall. If we do the math, I think that puts him in 7th in the class.
Is that all right? Okay. Lane is okay with Lane.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
You see that? Lane's got his fingers crossed for Lane.
Don't know that bike to die in the last lap. All right, we got a good battle here.
Ashburn.
Yep, on the number 3. He looked good in Florida for a bit. Oh, that's Grant.
Grant was right behind Ashburn there. That was well. They came through about 2 seconds apart when they came through the finish line there. Grant turned a 27:42 that last time around, guys, but that's still not as fast as Stu's 27:13.
Wow, throwing down, making some
man, that one lap they dropped it. Well, he picked up another minute on that lap. They dropped a minute on the lap before when they got into all that lap traffic. They must have got through a good portion of that to be able to get those lap times back down to the 28-minute mark.
Yeah, the push is on. Every point might count. Give me the top 5 overall so I know what's going on here.
Baylor, Kelly, 52 seconds, almost 53 seconds back in second. Josh Toe, 32 seconds back in third. Ricky Russell is only just under 5 seconds back in fourth. And Jonathan Gerard is actually leading the Xc2. He's 5th overall.
Yeah, there you see Ben Kelly going by on the 530. Big, tall Ben Kelly. So second, obviously, if you're trying to win the title, if you go 1-2 in these last 2 races, you're not doing bad at all. And the 5th in round 1, by my calculation, would that potentially make him the points leader?
I believe it would. He was only 2 points down behind Grant Baylor coming into this. I guess largely hinging on where Grant ends up, right? What the points battle is going to be like. But you're right. It looks like the Ben could come out of here with a points lead, a slight points lead, maybe a little larger than what we realize at this point. But again, we're still like an hour away from the finish line in the checker flag, and this is where Grant Baylor normally does his best work.
Okay, yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me. You look at the Baylor boys, you wouldn't figure that 3-hour fitness is necessarily their thing, but man, they're just beasts.
Well, they're so big. What it is, they're so big. It takes them a while to get up to speed, and get that momentum going. Once they get it going, they can't slow it down.
Yeah, exactly. Gets like a big running back going downhill. How are you going to stop this?
Coincidentally,
Grant right there.
I just talked to Jade about this exact same thing at the Ampro pits, and she said, "Yeah, we'll go to the beach with like Caleb Russell and those guys, and the guys take their shirts off, and they're all like these chiseled, endurance-looking athletes." And then Stu takes his shirt off, and he's just like, "Well, whatever. I'm going to drink a beer. I can still bench and squat more than you guys."
It's got that part. Yes. All motocross pants are essentially they just go by waist size. That's it. That's the only sizing there is. I don't know how. No one's got legs like that dude. Like Stu Baylor legs. Do they got to custom do those? I mean, yeah, I bet you could squat something. Yeah.
He's got whiskey barrels for thighs.
There you go. There you go. It seems to be working for him, making a statement today. We did see Grant Baylor go by ahead of Ashburn. So trying to cling to as many points as possible in that new team, the Gas squad, and doing a great job being consistent. I got to say, I rode this morning, and the track was awesome. And I'm not just saying that because I somewhat work for Gncc. Like, trust me, I've done horrible at these races before. There are plenty of tracks that I've ridden where I'm like, this is impossible. It was so good. I came here last year, and I rode Sweep with Bolt on, and the track, to me, seemed unrideable. It just kind of rained. It was kind of drizzle all day, and it got real hard-packed and then water on top of it, so it's really slick. Man, today I thought it'd be dry and dusty. No, it was perfect traction everywhere. It was unbelievable how good the track was. And even though I was super mad that my bike broke, when Jeff Russell came by and sweep, I was like, I'm really mad, but the track was great. The track was great, and I'm bummed I didn't get to finish it because the track was really fun. It was the perfect mix. It was tough, but it was forgiving. And I mean, especially in the amateur classes, you're looking for that mix of like a challenge, but not this is torture. And they really nailed it today. Although lap by lap it gets rougher, it's definitely rougher for these guys, and it goes beyond. This is probably just pure torture, actually, if you're a weekend warrior. The best of the best doing it out here like DeLong in Xc2.
Well, I tell you, DeLong just kind of just trudging along. You haven't seen a lot of splashes and dashes out of him today, but man, let's talk about a solid ride. He has really ridden very solid today, and honestly, with this last hour, if he continues to ride like this, he might be able to make some gains, especially if some of these guys have overpushed in the early part of the race.
Craig DeLong just always strikes me as that guy. He's always going to be on the box, always on the podium, and just when you're like, I don't know if he's going to pull out this championship, then he clicks off a win here, a win there, and he always just seems to be right there in it.
Brings it all together when it needs to be brought, I guess.
It's that monster mile down here, this little mud hole. Yeah, I can't believe how well this place held up. Oh, this is Josh Strang. So I heard you saying he had a mistake earlier.
Yeah, well, he had an issue. They replaced the entire front brake system there, caliper and the cable and lever and everything. I don't know. He was running in second place, and there was a big jumble up in a short period of racetrack there. And when he came out, he dropped from like second place all the way back to seventh. And then we saw him say something to one of the Kawasaki crew members that was on the trail, and then we got the report that they were going to be doing a front brake replacement, which Mikey got to
I got the first-hand view. Strang, I've never seen him that upset. I mean, he's always a cool, calm, collected dude. He was hot, so I don't know exactly how it happened. I'm sure we'll find out after the race today, but he was definitely frustrated. He knows what's at stake this year. He knows every race counts, and you could see it in him. And thankful to Cameron down there. She kind of got him calmed down. And you're all right. You're all right. It's a long season. Get back out there and roll. Stu Baylor on screen.
Stu Baylor disappearing quickly outside of our camera here at the 4-mile marker. I think we got an 8 and a 4 split here, so we see him at the 4, and then we get to see him at the 8-mile marker too. If you look at the track map, it almost looks like the tracks come together there, but there is that little separation there, and it's a great opportunity for us at Racer TV to get to see a 4-mile split like that.
Yeah, catching it as much as possible, but normally we're trying to run a clock and see, is second place getting closer? Is it getting closer? At this point, it's really just Stu's race to win or lose, just see if he can hang on to it. So, yeah, throw Strang, jumble up that mess. Very consistent through the first 2 rounds, and now potentially 10th. Maybe he can dig out something a little more as you watch Ben Kelly coming by here, the number 2 spot. So it has been all sorts of crazy as far as points are concerned, and riders having good races and then bad, and this is only through 3 rounds. So I don't know what this is going to be like. 13, man.
You know, and I notice each one of these riders seem to be so calculated in their riding. As fast as Stu is going, he doesn't look to be riding any ragged edges or anything. Ben Kelly's not pushing any envelopes. I mean, everybody seems to be kind of settling in. And I think, thinking about the big picture, Ben Kelly's thinking, okay, second place.
Toad's going by. Yep.
I should inherit the points lead after this if Grant stays back far enough, and this will be a good day. The team will be happy. We'll have the points lead, and we'll get a couple of weeks to reassess things and head down to Camp Coker for round number 4.
Hey, I have to wonder if they don't even all know that if there's a day where Stu's on, and you're already 50 points ahead of him practically in the series, don't kill yourself trying to beat the guy.
Right.
Yeah. Play the average of he's not going to be able to do that every week. And he's already 50 points in back, so yeah, to try to go and match that could be scary. I am impressed though, Toth, who barely even got going this year, right?
Right.
That would be a heck of a boost if he can put it up on the box.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, that would be good for him with the hand injury. And Ashburn coming by, and Grant Baylor. They're having a battle here.
Yeah, they're back and forth. So Baylor and Ashburn battling for 7th place in the overall right now, just past the 2-hour mark as Stu Baylor continues to lead Ben Kelly, Josh Toth, Ricky Russell, and Jonathan Gerard rounds out our top 5 in the overall. Will Stu Baylor be able to keep the pace and win the race? Stick around to find out. GNCC Live continues after this.
I'm Stu Baylor. You're watching GNCC Live on RacerTV.com.
Rocky Mountain ATV MC, retailer, distributor, manufacturer, product developer, parts tester. This is what we do, but who we are is something much simpler. We're riders, like you. 100% employee owned and operated, a company built by riders, entirely for riders. Rocky Mountain ATV MC, get ready.
Born of family values and a homegrown work ethic, Kinetic Gasket seals your machine so you can focus on the finish line. Kinetic Gaskets are the competitive standard for racers who demand the very best. Kinetic Gaskets are constructed from superior materials designed to perform in the most demanding environment. Whether it's championships on the line or a day in the dirt with friends, professionals and enthusiasts depend on Kinetic. Kinetic Gaskets, sealing championships since 1989.
Good afternoon. My name is Jerry Holcomb. I'm a direct jobber out of Warner Robins, Georgia. And today we're going to talk a little bit about our fuel injector cleaners that we have that AMSOIL offers to you. Our first two products that we have are for gasoline vehicles. They clean your injectors, give you better gas mileage, and also give you better performance. So you can go to the AMSOIL website and look up and see which one you actually need. Also, we have for our diesel engines, we have an all-in-one, which is injector cleaner, cetane boost, and also anti-gelling, cold flow. So people from up north keep their diesel from gelling up. Our most popular product right now is our combined cetane boost and injector cleaner that really make your diesel trucks run better, smoother, and quieter, to give you more power and performance. And that's what we have in our lineup from AMSOIL.
Welcome back to GNCC Live. Rodney Tomlin along with Mikey Waynes as we come to you from Washington, Georgia at the Specialized General GNCC. And Mikey, I tell you, it's already been an exciting day. Stu Baylor getting out front early on in this one and basically looking like the breakout ride he had in 2020, stretching it out massively over the rest of the field. We're up to a little over 50 seconds. Ben Kelly has now moved into that number 2 spot. There was a great battle going on there in that first lap. There was Stu and then I think Ricky Russell in that second place position, and then back behind them, You had Jordan Ashburn. You had Ben Kelly. 3-4 of the top riders. Josh Strang was in that mix as well.
It's juggling.
It's jumbled
totally
up.
juggling.
Josh had worked his way all the way up to second place at one time, and that group of riders were very tight. Josh ended up dropping back from second to seventh place as many other riders jumbled up during that same process, but we found out that something happened to Josh's front brake. They had to make a pit stop during the pit stops and do an extended pit stop and change the entire front brake system. So that kind of put him behind the 8 ball, drops him back several positions, at least to 15th place overall spot. So that's going to be kind of damaging in the points and that consistency that we always look for as far as Josh Strang is concerned. But at the same time, again, remember, he is the freight train, so he's another one of those riders that generally comes on strong as the race wears on, and he could be a rider that starts making up some ground and could make up some of those points that he's lost so far during this battle. Another rider that we're keeping an eye on is the point leader itself, Grant Baylor, who has kind of been struggling a little bit inside the top 10 overall. He's been running about 7th in class, but he's been running 8th and 9th place in the overall positions. And Lane Michael is out of this one. I guess that means that you, Mikey Waynes, have got something to go find out about. Looks like that's just mud on the seat there, but nonetheless, there's the kind of changes that we're talking about, and this is the kind of things that this third hour seems to bring us in GNCC racing, and we are keeping an eye on Grant, that battle between Ashburn and Grant for that 7th place overall position, which I believe, if I'm doing the math, might be actually for 5th in class, which doesn't do anything for those championship points, but nonetheless gives you a perspective on what's going on there right now. Grant and Jordan might be able to bridge that time adjustment gap and get themselves back battling for a top 5 overall, and if that does happen, that means that Grant's point loss won't be as drastic after this round, so he'll still be in pretty good position as far as the points are concerned and keeping that momentum building, and still a threat for a title here in 2021.
Here is your leader on screen, the 514 of Stu Baylor, trying to chip away at that points lead that Baby Bro has, but it's a pretty big points gap for him right now. But if you're in Stu Baylor's shoes, the absolute best thing you can do if you want to put yourself back in this championship points chase is maximum points on the day, and maximum points is 30 points. That's what you get for a win, and that's what he's been pursuing all day. He's jumped out to an early lead, didn't get the whole shot, but got a lead right away, and he's just been trying to stretch it out and stretch it out and stretch it out all day long.
And as we anticipate, likely Ben Kelly will likely be your points leader at the end of the day if things continue the way they are. We are in lap 6 right now. 5 laps are complete, 2 hours and 14 minutes. So I'm figuring we got somewhere in the neighborhood of about a lap and a half left of racing to go. And, looking back through things here, I'm trying to figure out where last we saw Lane Michael in the standings. I look at this. Last time around, we didn't see Lane check in the top 20, so I'm going to go down through and see where he is in class and how far behind. Actually, he may have not checked in for that last lap complete. So he didn't get that 5th lap complete, so he's come out early on that one, so he's dropped way back, Johnny Gallagher, and that's a tough break for him. And I know we've been prodding him along and looking for and hoping for great things out of that rider, and we've recognized that on several different occasions. But when you see the progress that we've seen for Lane Michael and to see this setback like this for whatever reason today, it's kind of disheartening. And if you're a Lane Michael fan, it's it is kind of heartbreaking. But we know that Lane's got the heart and the will and the desire to come back out again next round.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's unfortunate. This was actually a breakthrough ride for him last year here at this track, where he did get on the Xc1 podium. Wasn't on the overall podium, got edged out, but nonetheless, his first Xc1 podium. There is Stu Baylor on screen at the FMF PowerPoint there at the 9-mile marker, and he is just chipping away at this track, getting closer and closer and closer to completing 6 laps. At that point, he'll have around about only 30 minutes or less to go once he makes it in and finishes this one out.
Well, it sounds like Mikey Waynes might have a report with what's going on at the Ampro Yamaha pits in Lane Michael.
Yeah, we'll get that to you in just a second. Give me about, unless you got me.
Yeah, we got you.
Okay, all right. Well, anyways, on the fly, guys. Ampro Yamaha pits. Lane Michael actually had a crash. Had a nasty get-off, ended up taking a vine to the neck and another vine into, I believe, his left arm. Not positive. Medics are with him right now. Not sure how serious, but is definitely going to put it into Lane Michaels' day here at the General Gncc.
Wow, that's a heartbreaker there. Like you said, kind of a breakout ride for him here last year. Got to see him on the podium and score solid. A solid race. Had a decent race going here today, and to find that out, it is kind of disheartening. So hopefully everything's going to be all right with him. Those vines can get kind of nasty out there.
Yeah, that is definitely, like you said, a heartbreaker for Lane Michael. He was sitting in the 9th place overall position, coming into today in points with an 8th and a 9th place finish at the first 2 rounds. Surely not where he wanted to be, but still consistent scores nonetheless. He was up in there battling for it, and today, not able to finish this one, not going to score any points, so that is a heartbreaker. There is Mike Witkowski on screen, the 282, and I'll tell you what, Johnny Gerard has absolutely dropped him. Johnny Gerard has just ridden away from Mike Witkowski. Witkowski was actually, or Gerard was on screen as Mikey Waynes was starting to talk there, so it's probably that gap is probably opening up to near a minute, if not potentially even more.
Well, some folks may be wondering how the top amateur battle happens to be shaking down right now. I see JoJo Cunningham has checked in the 250A class in 21st place overall position, so he would be your current top amateur overall. Second in that battle would be second place in that class, Bubs Tasha, who's a minute and 20 seconds back behind that, and then Tristan Landrum, another 7 seconds back in third in class and 28th overall. So that's what we're looking at as far as top amateurs are concerned. And just past the 2-hour mark, 2 hours and 18 minutes now, I guess, a little further than I was thinking, into this race, Johnny Gallagher, as we continue to watch Stu Baylor just slice and dice this course. Looking back a year ago, man, I mean, so many things has happened over the course of the year, from this race in particular, where we saw that basically leading the entire race, and in the final turns, it all slipped away. And that wasn't the only thing that slipped away, it seemed like, that day. After that day, it was just a snowball effect for Stu with the surgeries, the infections that we've talked about on numerous occasions, and then the climb and the claw back to try to get back to where he wanted to be and to make those points and put those explanation points out there. And he did it, man. Got the breakout ride that he was looking for at the end of the 2020 season last year. And here we are basically a year later, and the story that is told in that one rider's career just over the last 365 days is sometimes a lifetime story for many.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's been a wild ride for Stu Baylor, coming back, winning all those races at the end of 2000. Am I wrong, or was Stu waving to fans there?
He probably was.
Because it looked like he waved to his pit, and then there was somebody at the end of the straightaway that I didn't recognize as one of his crew members that was just kind of like giving him a wave, and it wasn't like he motioned to him. He literally just picked up his hand and looked like he kind of waved him. So, I mean, is Stu Baylor on a Sunday cruise right now? But this is a very, very, very fast-paced Sunday cruise.
Here's a specialized rapid replay just to see exactly what did happen right there.
You can see there. Now watch this. We have somebody down here at the end that kind of just don't know who that is, but they kind of, hey, give him a wave.
That's awesome, man. That's comfort. That's riding in your comfort zone right there.
Hey, you got to acknowledge the fans, man. Stu crew. Those guys take it serious. They're out there cheering Stu on, pulling him out of mud holes, pointing him lines, whatever it takes. And every opportunity he gets, he acknowledges those guys both in interviews and apparently via hand gestures on the track.
There you go. And just a little salute. How you doing? Thanks for being here. Appreciate your support. And he really does. I mean, that's the beauty of it. Stu, you think people just like the attention. It's not that. I mean, he appreciates the fact that people believe in him. It's not that. It's not for the show. It's not for this. But, I mean, it is. What you see is what you get. It's true. It's heart. It's desire. It's determination. It's not about show. Part of it is show, but that is the show, what he is doing. You know what I mean? And that's just how it is.
Yeah, Stu's his own personality, always has been, and he seems to have found a great home there in that Ampro Yamaha team. Found a great fit with that Yamaha Yz250f 450. And here he is coming in, and he is going to get a white flag waving. That means that only one lap around the Sayonia Pass facility. Rodney, Stu Baylor is on. Right? I'm going to steal. Mikey Waynes borrowed it earlier. I'm going to steal another one. Stu Baylor is riding the ride that dreams are made of right now. I mean, and not that, we didn't expect to see Stu out battling for wins. Of course we did. We expected to see him be a championship contender. But everything we thought about Stu Baylor coming into this season has just been derailed by unfortunate circumstances and bad luck and, just kind of being in the wrong place at the wrong time and maybe some of his own decisions. But Stu Baylor had the opportunity today to set the ship right before it gets too far gone, before he's thinking all about what could have been.
Right.
Stu Baylor wins this today. It's a long, arduous process for him to get back into this championship battle, but this is the first step, and it's a big step.
It is, and another but he does it quite convincingly and without much task and without much chore. How easy this looks and how easy it looked for him last year at the end of the season in those 4 out of 5 wins, and even in the 5th race that he didn't win, how easy that race day came to him. So very impressive. You have to wonder if that might play heavy on the minds of some of those riders now as we get into the meat of things here. Second place checking in?
Yeah, it should have. There we go.
A minute and 10 seconds back.
If you're Ben Kelly, and Ben Kelly, phenomenal athlete, phenomenal rider, just won handily, a week ago, 7 days ago in Florida. You come in and Ben Kelly's giving it everything he's got. He knows he was at that kind of 30-second window just a few laps ago. 30 seconds turned into 50. I'm sure he said, all right, we're going to put in one last push. I'm going to reel him in. We're going to make this happen. Puts in a great lap time at 27:34, comes in and sees that he gave up an additional 20 seconds on that lap. I'm a Ben Kelly fan. I really like the kid, but that's a gut punch right there.
Yeah.
A minute 10 with a lap to go. At this point, if you're Ben Kelly, you're kind of just got to regroup and say, all right, I just got to ride my race. If Stu gives it to me, that's fine, but it's going to be incredibly difficult for Ben Kelly to make up a minute 10 and go take this win from Stu Baylor.
John running another back now as he turns about a 2-second faster lap time than Ben Kelly just ahead of him, but 2 seconds doesn't translate into 30 if they keep that pace. But it'll be interesting to see if Josh has got a little steam here in this final lap.
I'll tell you what, though, man, when we talked about this a little bit in Florida, Josh comes out of it with the top 5 after literally 2 days before the race, saying that he wasn't capable of riding the big track at Caleb's. It was too rough.
Ooh, look at 5th place. I'm sorry, I didn't mean, but we'll see what happens after time adjustments because Witkowski and Gerard have not checked in yet. But
nonetheless, the 5th place, Grant Baylor you're talking about there, he's only 9 seconds behind Ricky Russell, who in turn is only 39 seconds behind. Oh, Johnny Gerard just hopped in there. But he's only 39 seconds behind Josh Toth. There is Ben Kelly on screen. He's not giving up. He's definitely not going to let Stu have this one. But by the same token, a minute 10, that is a big gap to try and make up in just one lap.
Let's see, Mike Witkowski does check in the number 2 spot of the Xc250 Pro Class. No, he doesn't. He hasn't checked in.
He is not. I'm telling you, that gap was pushing all of 45 seconds to a minute when we last saw him out.
Well, that puts Grant back into, he's 6th place overall right now, so that's still a lot better. Jonathan Gerard has moved up into the number 4 spot overall on time adjustments, leading the Xc250 Pro Class.
Rodney, how about that guy we just saw on screen? Josh Toth. I mean, this guy, surgery days before Big Buck, comes out, guts it out, 12th place overall finish, gets those points, keeps himself in the conversation of, hey, he's one of the top guys, maybe he could battle for, top 5s throughout the year. Comes back 2 weeks later, literally as I was starting to say, couldn't ride the big track at Caleb's because it was too rough. His hand, his wrist just wouldn't take it. He said, I'm just going to save it for the race. Top 5, gets a 5th OA at Florida. Stu Baylor on screen in the Monster Mile, charging his way through. He might be from Hodges, South Carolina, but right now he's a Georgia boy, and the Georgia fans are cheering him on because everybody loves them some Stu Crew. And is there a more adamant group of fans or rabid group of fans than Stu Baylor fans? I mean, these guys get behind him. They, like we talked about a moment ago, him acknowledging those fans. They love it. They love it. He's a good old boy, doing good old boy things, riding his dirt bike and doing it really, really fast at the moment.
Yeah, for sure. One of the neat things I think I don't know if I said it on TV or not, during the show. But one of the coolest things I thought about Stu in Florida was he had the biggest flat bottom John boat I ever seen in my life down in Florida. So I think he did a little bit of fishing.
That's his bow fishing boat.
That's his bow fishing boat. Well, it looked like he had himself a good time, no doubt about that. And looks like that finger problem that he was faced with a week ago, not giving him any issues today for sure.
Yeah, he's doing well. Obviously, any struggles he may have had, he's just bulldozed through them and made manifested his own destiny. He wanted to win this thing. He felt he needed to win this thing, and right now, he's well on his way to doing just that. But to finish up that thought quick, Josh Toth, third place overall, pretty comfortably in that third place spot at the moment. He's got about a 40-second gap, give or take, over Ricky Russell. Don't sleep on Grant Baylor, though. Grant's charging. 40 seconds is a lot to make up, but as we can see in sections like this, there's a lot of gnarly lines and multiple line sections here. So, it's and Josh Toth only roughly 30 seconds out of second place. So still looking at potentially a second place finish for Josh Toth today. And what a huge improvement that would be over, him just going out to get some points at round one only 3 weeks ago.
All right, just to give you an idea of the difference in time adjustments with Johnny G and Grant Baylor to see whether or not he can get that position, and Ricky Russell just ahead of him. He's 9.8 seconds back of Ricky. He's turning about a 20-second faster lap, so chances are he should be able to get around Ricky Russell. On time adjustments, however, 2:22.36 was Jonathan elapsed time, and Grant Baylor's elapsed time is 2:22.57, so we're looking 21 seconds. Lap times for Jonathan Gerard, 27.54. Grant Baylor, 27.44, only 10 seconds faster. So, depending on what kind of inspiration he gets there, Grant Baylor might be able to close that adjusted time back up as well and put himself up into a fourth place overall position, which again will be great for salvaging those championship points.
Yeah, and we see Grant on screen, and I don't see Ricky Russell. Has he already gotten around Ricky? Nope, no, that's not Ricky. Looks to be Cole Whitmer, possibly. That is Grant Baylor there behind him. That rider was missing a front fender. Last we saw Ricky, he still owned a front fender. So, and it was a different color Camelback. So I think maybe we missed Ricky. Is that Johnny?
I think that may have been Johnny Gerard. Physically behind Stu, but obviously ahead of him on adjusted time.
I don't know. That almost... We'll have to wait and see here. I don't know if we missed Ricky. Because it was only 9 seconds we saw well ahead. So either Grant lost some time or potentially did make the pass on Ricky. We're starting to get to the window where that sure looked like Johnny Gerard that came by in the last screen. But keep in mind, Coastal Racing Gas teammates, Ricky Russell, Johnny Gerard, same year, same pretty much everything.
Good point.
It's hard to tell which one's which sometimes unless we get a
That could have been Ricky. You're right. That could have been Ricky instead of Jonathan. Or Johnny.
I'm Johnny. He's Johnny.
Yeah, there you go. And right there's proof in the pudding. That's what it says on the screen too.
We're watching here. Oh, there's Chris Bach, our good old buddy, former XC1 rider. There is Mike Wachowski, so that must have been Johnny Gerard.
Yeah.
That we saw. So Ricky Russell, we assume, was ahead of Grant Baylor still. Mike Wachowski still strong right there in that second place position. Don't know if it'll be enough. We'd have to look at the math to see exactly what the gap was between he and Johnny Gerard in the points. Will that be enough for him to maintain that leader's the reverse number plate signifying that he is the points leader in that Xc2 Pro Lights class? We'll have to take a look at the points and see exactly where things stand with that. But right now, he's not worried about points. He's just worried about trying to track down Johnny Gerard. And as we look there, it appears that Mike Wachowski was a minute 6 behind. So that's, again, kind of in that Ben Kelly, Stu Baylor range of over a minute trying to track a rider down in front of you. Definitely makes it for sure challenging on this last lap of racing.
Just watching right now, and I'm trying to compare some things here in this overall, and looking at some of these names as well. Man, I tell you, there's a lot of XC2 guys solid in that top 20 overall, which we kind of anticipate and expect. But Jonathan, to me, has been very impressive this year. I know he had those struggles in that first round, but the way he turned things around a week ago in Florida and then again here this week, I mean, you have to wonder what kind of level is this kid on right now. I mean, we saw great rides out of him like that last year, too.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, he's a force, man. We've talked about it. He's a New Englander. He pushes himself very, very hard, and I think his off-season training and preparation down there at Ranch Russell and working with those guys, I think he's just very fit. He's very determined, and he's got a lot of speed right now, but not as much speed as this guy. Stu Baylor, you can see him just hopping all the rough stuff, using those factory connection bump sticks and just bouncing his way around this track. Hey, look at that. He's waving to the camera. Stu Baylor is having fun out there.
You got to love a rider like that, man. I mean, reveling in the moment. I mean,
the presence of mind to know, though, that you're in a camera shot. You know, that guy's up on a platform. It's not like he's motioning to Stu. Like, Stu just knows, like, hey, this is a camera shot. I'm gonna give the fans a little acknowledgement, so he chucked him the deuces.
There you go. So, rock on, Stu Baylor. And Stu Crew is definitely got a lot to cheer about so far. If he can keep this one another 17 minutes or so. I believe we're in our final lap of racing. I'm pretty sure that white flag came out last time around. If things continue on pace right now with riders due in 16.5 minutes, that'll put us at about 2 hours and 48 minutes, 2 hours and 47 minutes. So we're well within that, 2 hours and 40 minutes, I think, that is required for a complete race here in this 3-hour race. But there's been Kelly on screen, by the way. As we pointed out, just over a minute at about 1:10 last time around. But again, very solid ride for him today. I think, you know, he knows what to do. I think statement that I made earlier, being seasons and things like that, I don't want to take away from the fact that I don't think that Ben knows how to make things happen and try to go about it, because I think this is kind of a calculated thing that he's working with right now, if truth be told, because don't push the envelope. You've got that lead over that guy. Don't worry about it until it starts to be getting tighter, you know, if it starts to tighten up as the season progresses. So, you know, I think he's doing a great job of mindful racing. Josh Toth checking through there just a moment ago. He still seems to be on on a great run right now as well, Johnny.
Yeah, it would be great to see Josh Toth on the podium. I mean, I feel like that's just got to be such a weight lifted off his shoulders. You know, I know he's working very hard preparing himself for the season, and then the disappointment of that injury. You know, gutted out the first Enduro, gutted out the first GNCC, and then has been getting better and better each round. Ricky Russell there in the 4th place spot. So your top 4 are by, but look at this just behind him. Here comes Grizzly Grant, the 3:14 on that KLM gas guy. He takes a look over. He sees Ricky Russell. It was 9 seconds, I believe, is what it was when they checked in. Am I correct about that?
9.8 seconds back.
It's a little more than that now. So even though Grant is charging, don't know if maybe he had a setback, but it seems Ricky has been able to manage and kind of stabilize that gap.
Well, Grant didn't seem to be moving very slowly through that section of the racetrack, that's for sure, at the 4-mile marker.
And there is Jordan Ashburn, so he's still within striking distance of that battle as well, especially with all we've talked about the crazy lines and crazy sections of this racetrack. We've already seen so much shuffling, but another solid ride for Jordan. I'm sure not where he wants to be, sitting back there in that 7th place overall position, but nonetheless, quietly scoring those points, checking off the boxes, keeping himself in the thick of things, and you know, as we know, he was in the 4th place position in the points coming into this weekend, and I think he'll see himself still inside the top 5 if he finishes this one out in 7th.
Well, Johnny, just a year ago here at Georgia's General GNCC, things were coming down to the wire. We saw Stu Baylor leading with Caleb Russell trying to make the pass, man. I mean, these guys had been going back and forth, and Caleb right there with Stu Baylor as they came down. But here's what it looked like, if you remember from last season. Early on, Ricky Russell getting off to a fairly decent start, if memory serves me correct. However, look, back buried, there was the number 1 of Caleb Russell as he had to work his way up through the pack. And as this race wore on, we know what eventually took place. But here's the way it broke down, Johnny.
Yep, it was Stu Baylor just absolutely pushing the pace. It was only his 3rd ride on that factory Sherco. There was Jordan Ashburn running strong formally on that Babbitt's Monster Energy Kawasaki team. Baylor just chipping his way through the pines and really just kind of putting that machine through its paces. There was the man on the mission, though, Caleb Russell, tracking him down, trying to get to him. Just kept chipping away at it, getting closer, closer, closer. The conditions were a little damper than we had today, but as we got closer to the end, Caleb Russell was on a mission. and this thing just kept getting closer and closer, Rodney.
Well, closer and closer they did, and as we drew nigh to the end of the race, it became a wheel-to-wheel battle. Stu going out, well, just mismanaging his line choices there and basically literally throwing it away as Caleb Russell just literally just sneaks in right underneath him, takes the win, steals the glory, and that certainly set us into a tailspin as far as Stu Baylor's career was concerned a year ago with the pandemic coming on, and he lost his ride, the illness with the injury, of course, with from the surgery, the infection, and so forth. You know, you didn't know what to expect. Who would have expected what we saw? A breakout ride in 2020, winning 4 of the last 5 races, coming into this season as one of the top favorites and leading this race today, throwing the horns at all the race fans as we make
too much metal.
Too much metal.
Rocking out.
All right, we'll be back. Can Stu Baylor hang on to it? Gncc Live continues after this.
AMSOIL runs on freedom and has since 1972. We changed the industry by formulating the first API-qualified 100% synthetic motor oil. The rest of the market has been trying to follow our lead ever since. But a head start is a head start. We punish our products firsthand in our world-class laboratories and beyond. Because some things can't be learned from a test tube. Run with us.
Last season was my best season ever by far. I won a lot of races. I won a championship, and it was also my first year using ARMA. And one of the things I noticed was just my ability to string good days together. You know, like especially in the summertime in Florida, where you're riding every day and the heat index is 108 degrees, and you're doing 230s and going to the gym and bicycle and all that stuff. I think in the past I've been super inconsistent day to day. Yeah, I may have a good race here or a good day during the week there, but overall, I think where I improved the most was my consistency in my recovery.
Even when you're the best, you never stop striving to be better. The all-new from the ground up 2019 Yamaha Yz250f is available at LoJack Cycle Sales, alongside the all-new Yz250f and Yz250f, and refined Yz250f. So stop by LoJack Cycle Sales today in Tarentum, Pennsylvania, and visit our online inventory at www.lojacks.com. Yamaha YZs. It's why we ride.
And welcome back to GNCC Live, and here at the specialized GNCC, EMTB GNCC, I should say. Round number 1 kicking off there last night, and all the key players, including Charlie Mullins, our 2-time defending champion in the class, but also bringing other top names from around the world, including Cypress Gorey out of Pigsaw Forest, North Carolina, one of the nation and international top riders in the mountain bike realm. Kyle Smith, also out of Cornelius, North Carolina, one of the top riders from last year, also giving some fits out there early on. Kyle's finishing up 3rd place there. Nick Mackey also riding with us out of West Palm Beach, Florida. We had several new faces out there, Johnny. 92 riders, I think is what we ended up, or 94 riders. One of the largest EMTB GNCCs we've seen in quite some time, and a lot more faces, a lot more names, and a lot more excitement on that start line. But when it was all said and done, in the end, not by much, but he did. Hot Rod Charlie Mullins took another win in EMTB GNCC racing, brought to us by our good friends at Specialized E-Turbo Bikes. It's you, only faster.
Absolutely, Rodney, and like you said, not only one of the largest e-bike races we've seen in quite some time, exponentially the largest.
Yes.
I mean, it was huge. I mean, 100 e-bikes that more than doubles the next closest race.
And I anticipate that's only going to grow as time goes on.
Absolutely. I believe we may have Stu Baylor on screen. As you can see, the lappers, he's like the Pied Piper of lappers. Nobody wants to be ahead of him. Obviously, they've got a few miles left, but they don't want to get in his way. But more importantly, they don't want to do another lap. So they see Stu coming. When you see riders stopping, you can assume that Stu Baylor is coming soon. And here he is on screen, coming through Yamaha Forest, taking a look over his shoulder. He knows he's got a pretty big lead, but again, it's just that nerves of, hey man, did I lose track of time? Did I slow down too much? Did I wave to the camera too many times and acknowledge too many fans? So he takes a look every now and again, but he's got a good gap, and he's just hitting his marks, doing his thing, and taking himself inch by inch, mile by mile, closer to the finish.
The way he's looking, you got to wonder, has his crew let him know he's a minute and 10 seconds ahead?
I'm sure they have. I think it's just a question of, you always have those nerves. You hear a bike, you hear somebody rev, and you think, man, again, did something crazy happen that I'm unaware of?
And it's possible. It can happen. I mean, we've known things like to happen like that on more than one occasion.
Well, if we want to talk about nerves and we want to talk about stress, a year ago, Stu Baylor was in this position coming to the finish, but he had 8-time champion Caleb Russell, well then 7-time champion Caleb Russell behind him. But at one point throughout the last lap, he had a pretty comfortable gap.
Yeah.
And then that gap just kept getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Caleb able to somewhat, I guess, surprise him, you would say. Stu, when Stu explains that whole situation, which we just watched that replay just a few moments ago, he basically just says, like, I don't really know why I missed that line. I just did. Like, I knew where I needed to be, and I just missed my mark. I overshot it. I would have gone down if I would have tried to force it into that line. So, he just, unfortunately, essentially moved out of the way, and Caleb was able to squeak right by him and grab the win, and he's going to want to not let that happen again today, but he's got a pretty comfortable gap, comfortable margin over Ben Kelly, which we think was around a minute and 10 seconds when we last saw him on screen, and we know when they checked in and scoring, it was right at that minute.
Wow. Just watching him ride through that section right there, just totally impressive. I mean, the energy and the strength that these riders have. I mean, he hasn't basically been pushed by anyone. He's for the most part checked out since the beginning of this race, maybe a lap or so into it. Took a little while, but man, he has really stretched his legs out there, and just to watch him ride in that comfort zone is pretty amazing. And to see a rider riding on this level is exciting too, especially knowing the uphill battle that he's got to try to capture as many points as he can to try and win the national championship. And this is when it had to start, and he's got to get the job done. Today, he's getting the job done. 2 weeks from now, when we go to Camp Coker, he's going to have to get the job done again. And again, 2 weeks after that.
Well, and the position Stu's in right now, I feel like I can't be in Stu's head, nor would I want to be.
Right.
But I feel like he's no. I just mean, like, there's a lot going on in there, I'm sure, with everything that's happened in the last few weeks. But I feel like for him to ride this way today, like, sure, he's aware of the points. He knows the championship situation. But I feel like he just came out here wanting to win a race today.
Yeah.
And that's sometimes the best thing to do is focus on the day, focus on the lap, focus on the next mile. And it just allows you to be that much more precise and, kind of let the white noise go by the wayside. Just do what the task at hand is. The task at hand today was ride your dirt bike, win a race. He's well on his way to doing that. And at some point, I'm sure, whether it be, after the race when he sees the points or during this week or whatever, he'll probably run those numbers in his head and figure out, well, what would I need to do? What would need to happen? But right now, I really don't think he's thinking about that.
And the changing variable every race is it's going to be different every time, depending on how the other competitors finish. So
here's the one thing we do know. In the position Stu's in right now with a DNF and a 14 in the first 2 rounds, he knows he cannot afford to spot these guys any more points.
Right.
So we've talked so much about the positives that have come out of this weekend for him, ultimately looking like he's going to grab the win, max points, 30 points, and minimize damage, interject himself back into the conversation. But the flip side of that coin is he knows in the back of his mind he's got no more mulligans. Stu's a golf guy. He knows what a mulligan is. He used up his mulligan and then doubled down and used one he really didn't have with that 14th place in Florida. But it's still doable. It's not a fairy tale. It's hey man, I can still do this. We're only 41 points out of this. It's possible. It's doable. It's plausible. We're going to keep working at it. He knows he does not have another oopsie to give. I mean, he has to know. We all know that.
Yeah, and he's a smart rider. He knows that, and he's very calculated. As we calculate about 3 minutes or less before we see this rider. Actually, 2 minutes and 51 seconds is what we expect to see. Maybe a little quicker by the time Stu Baylor gets there as he skirts the outside of these Woodlines here at Aonia Pass in Washington, Georgia. A beautiful sunny Sunday afternoon. Some mix of clouds and sunshine, but certainly a warm one, no doubt about it. Pre-spring, and of course, our clock sprung forward last night. Everybody may be a little off as far as time, but
I'm tired.
These guys aren't. At least Stu Baylor isn't. He's not showing any fatigue at all as of right now as he approaches more lap traffic in another open field section, and onto that moto track. And
this is really it, Rodney. He's got the moto track. He's got the pro pits. He comes out of the pro pits, goes and runs just one small section below the moto. It's really just one straightaway through the woods, and after that, he's got a checkered flag waving for him. So it's distance-wise, it's probably still a mile or better, but there's no obstacles, no mud holes, no anything between him and a waving checkered flag and win number one.
Except the last couple of turns.
No pressure, though. No pressure. No pressure today. He doesn't have Caleb Russell. Doesn't have anybody back there putting any pressure on him. He just has. He's got clear track in front of him and hopefully a clear mind for this next mile. Maybe celebrating a little bit.
Stu Baylor makes his way down the pro pits one final time here at Aonia Pass as he slaps high fives to the crew going through the pits. That is confidence right there as he is working his way into the final stretch of this day of racing, Johnny Gallagher, and looking to take that first win of the 2021 season and set himself on a path to a possible championship coming from behind after being 2 races down. Can it be done? This is step number 1 on the way as he hits these final few sections here and closes in on those checker flags. And
Rodney, that was actually the turn right there.
That was.
He was going the wrong direction, but that was the turn where the pass happened a year ago. So he navigated that one safely. That had to be that's got to be a little bit of weight off his chest there.
Into the final wood section now goes Stu Baylor. Disappearing in and out behind the pine trees, but back into sight. We'll see him pop out in mere moments to a cheering crowd. I'm sure the Stu crew in full force at the finish line as they await their winner on the day, Stu Baylor, inching his way toward the win here in round number 3.
This is it, Rodney. He's got one straightaway, a right-hand turn. He's got a split line, a couple of chicanes, and then right up into the finish line.
And we've got a visual on the ground as Stu Baylor makes his way through these Georgia woods. Has the celebrations began yet? I'm sure they have not, but they will soon start as only a handful of turns left to go. And Stu Baylor will be looking eye to eye with Ricky Towery. And, of course, taking the checker flag. Last few turns into the finish line chicane. Stu Baylor round the pines. And around the final turn to the checker flag. And the win in Georgia. Win number 1 for Stu Baylor in 2021.
What a ride. I mean, he couldn't have scripted it any better. I mean, the hole he was in points-wise. And
what's that?
They have brought him some Brazilian meat. These are his friends from last night. They were over at the Yamaha Shindig. They were making him drink Brazilian beer and eat Brazilian meat. And they have brought him to the victor goes the spoils. The spoils are whatever that is. Oh, that appears to be a Modelo.
It's cold right now, I think.
Especial and some Brazilian meat. He's a hungry guy, and they're feeding the beast right now.
They are feeding the beast. Stu Baylor taking the win. Hey, man, we forgot there's other people back there, too, that we'll be watching for. But, wow, what a great celebration for Stu Baylor. Anything cold right now, I'm sure it's going to go down smooth for him. And look at Corey McDonald, very happy to be a part of this. He and Stu, great friends from the youth ranks of GNCC Racing.
Stu finished that beer off real quick. Anything cold.
I'm telling you, it's hot.
Here it is, second place. Ben Kelly coming across the line. Maybe they'll offer him a cold Modelo as well.
Ben Kelly finishing up in the number 2 spot, doing everything that he needs to do to put himself in command and control likely of this championship at the end of this race today, waiting on Josh Toth to check in. And then, of course, what's going on back there with Ricky Russell and Grant Baylor in that 4th and 5th place in class. And did they eclipse the time frame that they needed to on Jonathan Gerard in order to take the overall? There is Josh Toth checking in now in that number 3 position.
And a well-deserved fist pump from Josh Toth. I mean, a podium for this guy, he is absolutely pumped. That's a phenomenal ride for this young man, and you know he's just got to be very, very happy right now.
So there you go, folks. Our top 3 are in. We wait now to find out what is going to be taking place with that 4th, 5th, 6th place positions in the overall after time adjustments and in class as well. We should expect to see some minute or so, I think, back to our next riders checking in, which would have been Grant and Ricky, or Ricky and Grant in that order. And right now we just wait to see what that case will be, just to see where Grant will be finishing today. Obviously, points lead may slip away, but the more he gains here on this final lap, the less spread we're going to see heading into round number 4.
Yeah, so with Ben Kelly only 2 points behind him, he cannot have the points lead because Ben Kelly already has eclipsed his points by finishing second. Ben Kelly with 25, even if Grant does come in 4th there, if he gets around Ricky, that would still only be 18 points, so he would still lose the points lead.
Exactly, and that's what I was saying. I wasn't saying that, but I mean how big the gap would be. He's managing
he's
that gap.
Right there, we'll see. 4th would be better than 5th.
Exactly, no doubt about that. And this guy right here, first is better than anything on the day, and Stu Baylor makes it happen.
Well, thanks, Rodney. Yeah, down here with Stu Baylor. Stu, I don't know what to say. You're chugging beers. Wow, what a race!
Yeah, it was solid all day. Can you hear me? I don't hear here. Yeah, it was solid. I got a really terrible start, and some guys just missed some lines, and I really nailed my marks all day, and a lot of the lines were faster outside main track, and that's where I made most of my passes getting to the front. There was a couple sneaky insides I had here and there, but we were able to make it happen quick, and it was one of those days you just wanted to control the race. I talked to Rodney before Florida. Florida was a day you wanted to sit in the mid pack. Big Buck was a day you wanted to sit in mid pack. It was dry out here. It's hard slick. You could push. You could control your pace, and that's kind of what I did. I just dropped the hammer that first lap, put a gap on the margin.
Well, Stu, what's the mindset, man? I got to think after the first round not racing, second round the 14th, today, I mean, are you even paying attention to points right now, or is it just I got to go out and win the damn thing?
Yeah, absolutely. It's we get paid for championships, we get paid for race wins. So those first 2 were pretty frustrating for me. Personally, obviously being the number 1 pick coming in and not being able to prove it at Big Buck in front of the hometown crowd, and then backing it up in Florida with some motorcycle issues that started there on lap 2, and it was extremely tough for me. Florida, is one of my favorite tracks, and not being able to push and ride with those guys was difficult. But yeah, my sights obviously on the championship. 41 points down we came in today. I believe I was 38 down from Ben, so now 33 down from Ben, and I'm doing the numbers in my head as we're on the track.
Make some noise. Big congratulations. Your winner here at the General Gncc, Stu Baylor.
Well, one thing you can point out is Stu does some quick math there to figure out that's only a 33-point deficit he has to make up now heading throughout the rest of the season, and that shows you where his intent is as far as 2021 is concerned, and he's right, man. I mean, you get paid for championships and wins in his situation, and those first 2 rounds were kind of tough.
Yeah, but he's able to make a comeback today, grab the win, put himself a little closer to that points lead, and Grant Baylor coming in 4th place, getting around Ricky Russell, and actually 4th place overall. Johnny Gerard dropping all the way back to the 7th place overall, still grabbing the win in that Xc2 Pro Lights class, but 4th place Grant Baylor, 5th place Ricky Russell, 6th place Jordan Ashburn, so your top 6 overall Xc1 Pro riders, and looks like we may have Ben Kelly ready here for his post-race interview after a win just a week ago in Florida. 2nd place today here at the Georgia GNCC.
Thanks, guys. Down here with Ben Kelly. Ben coming off the Florida round, taking the win today. Like we were saying last week, if your bad day is still a podium, you got to still feel pretty good about that.
Yeah, coming into here, I definitely wanted to try to repeat for another win, and I did the best I could. A decent start, and you know, these conditions don't suit me, like this hard pack, dry slick where you're just flat tracking. So I knew it was going to be a tough day, and knew everyone would be close just because there wasn't really anything to separate us. But yeah, I did the best I could. I was kind of mid-pack for the whole race, and Stu got around me, and he was on the gas, had some good lines to where he just yarded me on that first lap. And so yeah, I just did the best I could, but I just soldiered on, and it was hard. Gave it all I could, but Stu handled me today, but it's all good. Second place is cool. Yeah, just happy to have a solid ride and then come away with the podium.
It's a Camp Coker for Ben Kelly.
Stu handled me today, basically is what he's saying there. So, you know, I mean, but not disappointed at all with his ride, and rightfully so. Ben Kelly keeping himself in a great position and taking over that points lead here today. I think we did the calculations with Grant finishing in the fourth place position. There's a 5-point deficit between these 71 points that now Ben Kelly holds as far as the championship points leader, and Grant Baylor with 66. I'm not sure where that's going to fall in there. We got, Josh Strang lost a lot of points today.
Grant still will be
yes,
second.
Grant will still be second. So interesting the way that one pans out. A heartbreaker for Josh Strang. I'm not sure where that's going to put him as far as the day is concerned after that brake change. Last check we had, actually just checked in 10th place. So a good save for the day, I think, for the Aussie there, the 114 of Josh Strang. The freight train comes through in the end with a top 10 overall. So hats off to you, Josh.
Yeah, that's a phenomenal salvage points-wise, considering where he was at, having to change the brake system and as far back as he was. I'm sure he won't see it that way, but that was a good point save for him, given the circumstances.
There we see the Monster Energy Activation Transport. That's our meet there, and that providing mobile audio and so forth. And it's a really great addition to the GNCCs. That gives it kind of a pretty cool flavor and flair to it. And, of course, I want to say thanks to Monster Energy. And let's head down and talk to the other Johnny Giroir, who's with Mikey Waynes.
Josh Toth, still waiting on Josh Toth to come back. He had to run back to the rig, so he'll be back for that third place interview in a second. In the meantime, this man going back-to-back, Johnny Giroir, back-to-back wins here in round 2 and 3, man.
Yeah, it feels good. Mike was ripping today, and kept me honest, and it was a tough race. I definitely had to use some mental strength to get through that one.
Big congratulations to you, Johnny. Big congratulations, man. You're going to carry this momentum into Camp Coker in a couple weeks and go for 3 in a row.
Absolutely. I like Camp Coker, and I'm looking forward to it. So, let's try to make it 3 in a row.
There you go. Big congratulations. You guys make some noise. First place finisher in the Xc2, Johnny Giroir.
Whoa, where'd I go? All right, there we go. Congratulations, Jonathan Giroir. And, of course, a big win. 2 of them in a row in that Xc2 class, which is saying something, I think, pretty impressive, because that's another class with a deep talent pool as far as the riders go in that one. Taking a look a little closer at the Xc2 class just to see how things are stacking up in that one as the checkers unfurl. Jonathan Giroir, Mike Witkowski, Craig DeLong checking in 3rd. Cody Barnes was 4th. Lyndon Snodgrass in 5th. Evan Smith in 6th. Ryder Lafferty has not checked in 7th yet, but not real sure what happened to Liam Draper. A little off day today for the New Zealander as the 198 was running in 9th heading into that final lap of racing there in the Xc2 250 Pro class. But overall, it's looking like, again, Stu Baylor, Ben Kelly, Josh Toth, 1, 2, and 3. Grant Baylor in 4th. Ricky Russell in 5th. Jordan Ashburn in 6th. Jonathan Giroir 7th. Mike Witkowski 8th. Craig DeLong in 9th. Josh Strang rounding out the top 10. A little further back, Cody Barnes in 11th. 12th is Lyndon Snodgrass. Evan Smith 13th. Tyler Medaglia 14th. And 15th is Benjamin Herrera out of Chile. And I know I'm trying to do my best on getting the proper pronunciation of that name on the 543, but a top 15 ride for the Chilean.
Ryder Lafferty actually just jumped up to 14th place overall, so he made a couple passes there on the last lap. He did just check in.
Well, there it is, folks. You can see it for yourself. Rocky Mountain ATV MC leaderboard on screen. Stu Baylor has done it. He wins the Specialized General GNCC. Kelly, Toth, Grant Baylor, and Ricky Russell to round out the top 5. Again, got to give Jordan Ashburn props. Another solid ride for that rider. Didn't finish on the podium this week, man, but he certainly had some great glimpses of greatness. Another rider that we saw donning the top 10 a lot today, Lane Michaels. Certainly hope things are all right with him. We saw that he had issues there with an hour or so left to go in that one on the 523. But Josh Strang also having his problems with the brakes there. Running second place at one time in the race, Johnny Gallagher, as he had to battle his way up just to get that 10th place overall. So hats off to that Aussie.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, those 11 points here for that 10th place finish could loom large come the end of the season in that championship battle.
Huge.
It would have been easy to put that bike on the stand and call it a day, but those 11 points, I mean, just like with Stu, 2 weeks ago, or a week ago, 7 days ago in Florida, that 14th place finish, that earned him 7 points. So, these guys are, they're scrapping. They're scrapping there for every point that's out there.
They are doing that, no doubt about it. Scrapping is maybe an understatement. These guys are waging, I think, a major fisticuffs between these guys. It's a brawl. And, of course, there's still more of it to come. And I know that Josh Toth has made his way down to the victory circle with Mikey Waynes.
Kind of break it up. So hopefully you kicked it to me, Rodney. If not, I'm butting right in. Josh Toth, man, finally getting it done, putting it on the box today with a 3rd place finish.
Yeah, it was a brutal day. Good. Yeah, brutal day, man. That was tougher than Florida. Felt a little better coming into it, and just gave it 100% and left it all on the track. I mean, everyone was riding so good, and there's so many fast guys. It was a great battle in the beginning, and just kept my pace and just put my head down and charged and tried it right to the checkers.
Well, congratulations to you, Josh. Man, is this the one that's going to turn it around for you? Start getting you up there on the box on a regular basis?
I think so. It's been too damn long, but ready to get back up here and be a regular.
There you go. Congratulations. That man right there taking 3rd today, Josh Toth.
All right, congratulations to Josh Toth. Good to see him getting things up and rolling. By the way, 250A rider JoJo Cunningham finishing 19th overall after 7 laps of racing, so he'll be your overall top amateur. And I saw, checking in there just a moment ago as well, the 739 of Trevor Bollinger. So good to see that he was able to make the race today, finishing 22nd overall. The 739 out of Morganton, North Carolina. Well, Johnny, that's going to wrap things up. A great day here in Georgia. We'll be back at it in a couple of weeks when we head to Society Hill for the Camp Coker GNCC. On behalf of Mikey Waynes, Johnny Gallagher, and, of course, all of us here at the Racer TV crew, I'm Rodney Tomlin saying, have a great day, everybody.